Okay, so everyone knows who Shohei Ohtani is, right? I'm not even a big baseball fan, and I know that name. He's the best baseball player who's ever lived. Some people even say he's the best sportsman who's ever lived, and he happens to play for my favorite team, the LA Dodgers, obviously. Anyway, remember that scandal a couple of years ago when the Dodgers fired Shohei's interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, because it came out that he had stolen over $16 million from Shohei to pay off his illegal sports betting debts? Well, the bookie running that whole massive operation was a guy called Mathew Bowyer. And Mathew happens to be my guest today. Now, for all you eagle-eyed listeners and viewers out there, you'll know that this isn't the first time Matt's been on the show. He was actually our third guest ever on the podcast. The first time we filmed with him was a few days before he turned himself into prison. And now, almost a year later, he's out of prison and he's ready to spill the beans on all of it. But real quick, before we get into it, if you like The Hidden Third, we've got a Patreon account with bonus content and lots of more amazing stuff at patreon.com/thehiddenthird. And of course, please subscribe, follow, drop a comment here. All of it actually helps. Okay, now on to the show. Mathew Bowyer, welcome back to The Hidden Third. You're our first repeat guest.
I'm the first?
You were so good the first time that we had to have you back.
Wow. Well, thank you. I didn't know I was your first repeat guest.
You are.
That's an
absolutely.
honor, especially being I'm a big fan of yours, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I've become a big fan since I met you. So the last time you came here was in October.
Yes.
And you were 11 days away from going to prison.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
It feels like, for me, like so long ago, even though it really wasn't.
Yeah.
Truly.
So what was it like? It's funny, you've been in the studio. You just got here about 10 minutes ago and we were chit-chatting before the camera started rolling. And I really had to do everything I could not to ask you this question. But I'm dying to know. Yeah. Like, sure. What was it like?
Listen, the funny thing is, the more I tell or talk about my experience, I realize that everyone's experience is so different. And it's the way you interpret your experience in life, right? So for me, I sound like a complete pussy, excuse my language, to some people, right? Alpha males who've been in prison and done hard time. Well, my story is like, this is a cupcake.
Right.
But I think for me, because I feel it was 10 times harder than it really was going to be in my mind. The main reason I say that is because I have 5 kids and I'm married. So like, had I went to prison 25 years ago, I would be describing it completely different, and also being that I'm 51 years old and lived a very good life, material wise, financially, etc. I think it was also much harder for me. Yeah. And that sounds entitled, but it's the truth, because when you're on private jets or you're eating sushi 7 days a week and filet mignon at Mastro's, etc., to go into prison, the setting, the culture change and shock was so much different for me. Yeah. And again, I know I get judged for that, for saying it, but I have to be honest. Like that was hard for me. Now, a regular, when I say regular, I don't mean regular person, but a regular lifestyle change isn't as much of a step down. And it was great for me though. There's the self-reflection and the hard times that I'm describing is what made the self-reflection that much deeper. And so like it was only 5.5 months, that I was actually away. And so
did you when you were here, I think your sentence was it was 11 months, right?
It was a year and a day.
Oh, a year and a day, right? That's right. Because if it had been less than a year and a day, you couldn't get
all of the time.
You had done all. You would have to do all the time.
So for those who don't understand the system, a year and a day means I am allowed to have good time credits, FSA credits, right? So for every 30 days you do, you get 15 days off, as long as you don't get in trouble or do anything wrong. So to be honest, like the moment I checked into prison, I told myself, all right, you got this. This is no different than anything else you've tackled in your life. You've been through so much ups and downs. How do I define success? I literally told myself as I walked into prison, I have to define success in this, however long it takes, 6 months, a year, whatever. So I planned it out. how do I define success? All right. So number one, I have to cut the time down as much as possible, stay out of trouble, never get in the shoe, try to avoid any altercations with, other inmates, don't fall in any traps. I don't do drugs. I drink alcohol a little bit, but it's not like I'm an addict to that. I love to gamble. So I knew that would be a challenge. So I knew that. So all those things like played out in my mind. And then truth be told, I was advised to not be myself by so many people that went to prison. And that was the hardest thing for me. They told me, almost everybody said, just stay in your own lane, kind of be quiet. Don't talk to people really. People want something from you. And I did that for like 2 weeks, but I can't be, I'll never be a fake person. I'll never be a person that like hides who I truly am. I can't even do it. I tried.
I think I would be the same way.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to live that way?
Yeah.
Like truly, even if it backfired, I went in there thinking, okay, I'll take that advice, but that didn't last more than 2 weeks.
And also I think you're very much like me in which we love socializing. We love being around people, right?
Energy is where I get from people. Yeah. My wife is polar opposite. So she laughs at me and she's like, I used to entertain clients when I was a bookmaker or people. And she's like, man, how do you go? You don't do cocaine, you don't do drugs, And I would stay up till 3, 4 in the morning. The gambling, the dopamine rush would keep me going too. But even without that, I was still entertained. And again, it was just energy of people.
The energy of people. I feel the exact same way. I can be super tired. And the moment I step into a party or gathering, I'm like, okay, it's back on.
You wake up.
Like,
you're very social.
Excited to be there.
So for me, prison, it was like, I have to make the best of this. And for me, just like you said, for that to occur, I had to be social and be myself.
So 2 weeks in, you suddenly became Matt Bowyer again, and you started making relationships.
Definitely, a lot of relationships, really good and bad. And I got to tell you though, checking in was definitely like a gut check.
So the beginning, the first day. So you told me when we first spoke that you, I remember asking you who was going to drop you off. You told me your wife was going to drop you off, right? She did?
Yes.
That must have been a really hard moment.
That was so tough. Realize that, it's the realization, it's time, it's like, because we lived 2 years in pretrial. So 2 years of like the unknown or kind of knowing, but not sure. That was tough. That was harder. But then once you do know and it's actually happening, it's really difficult because you're like, okay, now I'm not going to see you for, maybe I'll see you in visitation, but let's be real. It's not, our real relationship is going to be paused as far as our marriage and seeing my kids. Yeah.
And I'm trying to place myself in her shoes and thinking that it's not so much the time away from you, I'm imagined. That for me, if you were my husband, it would be, it's 6 months, it'll pass. Right. But it's the idea that the person that I'm leaving right now might not be the same person who comes back. Right?
That too. Or safety issues. Like, even though we knew I was reporting to Lompoc camp, the word camp makes you feel
it's a low security prison. Yeah.
Right. But people still die. Things still happen. It is 10 times safer than the low and a medium and a high, all that, of course. But stuff happens, and I'll get into that in a minute. But, in her mind, I'm going to prison. Right, it's still prison. Yeah. And you're right. And who am I going to be coming out? I mean, she knows me. We've been together for 11 years, but people change, right? And when you're happy in your relationship and things are moving, even though we were going through a lot, we still had actually even a better relationship because of it, right? So we're more bonded, and the relationship, I was so much more present because now I don't have this conglomerate gambling business that was pulling me in and taking so much of my time. And also I wasn't gambling anymore, which took a lot of my time. Addiction. Yeah. So all of that was gone. And so I was able to really try to be very present with my family, and then also get them to kind of subside like the, I wanted them to feel normal. So try to put it all, here and look as if everything's perfect per se, even though in my mind, things are racing and I know I'm going to prison and I'm leaving them. And, the fact is, as a father and as a husband, the two things that I have to do, and it's my job, is provide and protect. And I'm failing of that now. I'm going to prison.
Right.
So that guilt will be with you, the rest of my life.
Sure. Yeah. And we'll get, for our listeners and viewers who don't know your story, didn't watch the first episode we did with you, we'll get into a little bit of your backstory. But I wanted to get with the prison of it all first.
We get in the car, we drive, and it's a little quiet, because I talk a lot and, I could see her processing. So I'm trying to we have such a good relationship. There's never awkward moments really. But this was the first one I've had probably since we first started dating, I guess, because now it's I'm trying to say all the right things, but what are the right things to say when you're going to prison? And then all the guilt is hitting me at the same time. And then so I chose to go live on Instagram to to kill the, anxiety for both of us, even though I knew it wouldn't really take it away, but maybe it would diminish it. And then just kill a little bit of time, and then also show my viewers that I'm authentic, I'm real, the people that follow me, and the story that I've been trying to show to people watching. So I did that to kind of, just subside the anxiety, really.
Focus on something else.
Yeah.
Too.
So 45 minutes later, we pull up to this prison, which I've never seen before, of course. And it's very intimidating because it's a former penitentiary. So it's not, it's got the castle-like walls and of course the barbed wire, and it looks, the towers and, guards in the towers and et cetera. So
it doesn't look like a camp,
no,
as it's called.
Not at all. And so we pull up, and then we pulled into the wrong part of the prison. So we do the old goodbye, but it wasn't even our goodbye. So I had her wait because it looked like I was reporting to a normal industrial building, because the prison is huge. Lompoc is gigantic. There's a low, a medium, and a camp, and it's sprawling over thousands of acres because it's attached to the Vandenberg Air Force Base, and it's definitely the biggest prison around. And so they have farms, they have all kinds of stuff, and so I didn't know where to pull in. So we pull in there. I walk in. There's 2 guards, and it didn't feel very intimidating. So I was like, oh, okay. You could see the prison, but I thought this is the camp. So the lady's like, no, you need to go self-surrender over there. So now I get back in the car after, she was crying, and did the whole goodbye. And then we drive over to a real prison. So I get out of the car and I said, hey, can I say goodbye? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So I come back around the car. Now she's bawling even more. Say goodbye.
Were you crying?
Huh?
Were you crying?
I was crying, but I wasn't. Definitely was crying, but I didn't want her to see I was crying. So it was tears in my eyes, but not bawling. But I definitely wanted her to feel that I was strong going into prison, right? Because I don't want her to worry anymore than she already is. So, and it was tough because watching my loved ones cry, all I've ever wanted to do is protect and provide for my family. And so I'm a person that doesn't deal with pain for my children. I have 2 type 1 diabetic kids. So when they got diabetes, I just get mad, angry, even though it's part of life. Yeah. But you want that pain on you.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I'm causing this pain to her and to them. So it's I'm just really upset at this moment, right?
So this is nothing in comparison to what you went through, of course. But when I was stuck in a military coup in Niger, and the hardest part, and I was only away from, safety for 9 days.
Okay.
But I was locked in the country. But we couldn't get out. They closed all the borders and the airspace, and we were a very remote area of Niger. There was, terrorist organizations all around us. It was not
scary.
a fun
very scary, actually.
experience. But it was the hardest part. It was knowing how much I was worrying the people who loved me. That was the part that would make me cry every night. Was knowing that my husband, my father, my son, thankfully was at camp, and we didn't tell him. But knowing that there were all these people that loved me so much, and that I was worrying them, and it was my fault. It was that guilt of worrying them.
That's because you have a huge heart and you are giving. So obviously you would rather have that pain on you, right?
And that's what you're saying. You're feeling too. You were feeling too, I'm sure.
Big time.
So I've been in a terrible, horrible, not good, very bad mood recently. My son is back at school. Summer plans have come and gone way too fast. And my favorite time of the year is coming to an end. Boo-hoo-hoo. But guess what instantly puts me in a better mood? Buying clothes for a new season. I hate to admit it, but I love shopping. And I actually hate having a crowded closet, which is why Quince is perfect for me. It's the best place to find just the right pieces, exactly what you need for every occasion and every season. Quince specializes in high quality essentials like ultra soft organic cotton and premium Mongolian cashmere sweaters that are beautifully tailored and transition just seamlessly from morning meetings to dinner. And here's the best part. Everything at Quince costs about 50 to 80% less than similar brands because they work directly with ethical factories, cutting out the middlemen, which means you're paying for quality and not for brand markup. Now, the very first thing I bought on Quince was this sweater, and I love it. It's super comfortable. I really like this color, and it works for both work, a work day here at the office, or a night out with friends. I wear it all the time. It's actually the piece that turned me on to Quince to begin with. And it's not just apparel that they sell. Quince also offers hotel quality bedding, amazing kitchen staples, and beautifully designed furniture. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com hidden third. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK as well. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/hidden third. So I just spent 5 weeks traveling on a part work trip, part vacation. And here's the thing about me. Even when I go on short trips, I'm not known for traveling light. I'm an overpacker, and proudly so. So here I was at a hotel, running super late for an interview and trying to carry an embarrassing number of bags down the stairs all by myself. It was not a good look, trust me. Anyway, the hotel receptionist sees me struggling, but he's with other customers, so I'm thinking, oh no, just more people to watch me fail here and utterly embarrass myself. However, to my enormous surprise, he runs to help me. I have no idea what he told the customers, but he even helps carry my bags to the car. I made my interview on time, didn't have to break an ankle while doing it, and I'm forever grateful to that young man for doing, for going that extra step. So if you're hiring, great candidates can also go the extra step and tell you why they're interested in your job on ZipRecruiter. It's one of the best ways to stand out from the others. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/hidden third. Candidates can tell you in their own words why they're interested in your job. And ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds qualified people quickly. Try ZipRecruiter and meet great candidates who'll go the extra step for your job. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free today at ziprecruiter.com/hidden third. That's ziprecruiter.com/hidden third. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Yeah, you just want to take it all away.
Yeah.
And listen, I was there because of my actions anyway. So it'd be different if I didn't
Right.
cause these things, but I knew what I was doing.
Right.
I have no excuses.
Right.
I have to be accountable.
Right. So the guilt is even bigger.
Yeah. At least if it's something, that I didn't control and it's just bad things happen to to good people sometimes.
Right.
I can't really say that here. So
Right.
that hurt,
Yeah, I'm sure.
and then you're not, when you're committing a crime, at least for me, it wasn't like I was thinking about the consequences being this drastic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem is, in our mind, we sell ourselves on more of the positives than the negatives, the money, the fast cars, the jets, the lifestyle,
Exciting lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So we all have in our mind, I consider the little devil and an angel, right? And if you lean towards that little devil more, you make poor choices and there's consequences.
Right.
And I knew that because I was there dealing with that, but I still wasn't really thinking about how it affected the people I care about most.
Right.
Until now.
Yeah, until now. Yeah.
And that was really hard. Yeah.
So then you say your goodbyes, big hugs, and then you go in.
Yeah. So I start walking and, it's probably 20 yards to the fence and he has to call the tower to open the barbed wire fence. And I'm just making that walk and I'm just like, oh, here we go. It's like, for me, it was like, all right, I didn't look back. That's the main thing. I did not want to look back. I didn't want to see her driving away.
No, definitely not.
It was like, all right. I almost felt, and this is a bad analogy because I was going to a camp. So a lot of the comments in this will be like, oh, this guy's being a dramatic pussy.
Yeah.
But I almost felt like I was going to war in like gladiators, school. And that's the way I felt, because it's like, I don't know what I'm getting into, but I do, but I don't. And then also I'm always going to defend myself. So I just don't want somebody else does to escalate my situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course, we've all heard the stories about what happens in prison, right? So it's not, you don't want, it's like you're thrown into the wolves, right? You don't know what's going to happen right now. And and so then how was that?
So the tower, the gate opens, you walk in, and then, he's the guard is calm. I mean, he's been there 25 years. You can tell he's done this 8 trillion times. So it's not like, and he's kind of like, I'm a person like you that's very social, but I'm trying to feel out, all right, can I like be myself with even this guy, but I'm being quiet because I have to be respectful, and I realize I'm in prison. So I throw out a couple little, it just like, I don't even remember what I said. It was just like small talk. And it was very clear that small talk is over and there's nothing to talk about. Shit. So I'm like, okay, all right. So then he makes a small crack at me when we get to the the intake area before he strips me down. He says, all right, so do you have any money left? And I was like, okay, well, I don't. So
he knew who you were.
Yeah, I assume, right? I don't know if he says that to everybody, I doubt it.
I doubt it.
But so I said, no, well, they took quite a bit. I didn't know how to answer that. And then maybe 3-4 minutes later, I was over in this little area that looks like a Nordstrom's changing room, but there's no curtains. And he said, all right, take off all your clothes. And as I did that, he got these boots that are size 9. I wear size 11, and this jumpsuit that literally would have fit a 300-pound man. I mean, it was drastically huge. And then he tells you to, spread your butt cheeks, bend over, cough, lift up your feet so they can see the bottom of your feet. I don't know why, that is, but I'm sure people hide drugs or whatever they do. So that's very demoralizing. And clearly that's there to make sure you're not bringing things in, but it's also a statement. You can feel like they want to break you a little bit, Right. So you do that process, and then they take you to a holding cell. And I saw a psychiatrist, and he asked me, all right, this is when I started getting a little, like in my mind, I'm like, this is a little more real than I thought. All right, what gang are you affiliated with, if any? Are you suicidal? Are you depressed? Like all these questions, which I understand why. And then he said, okay, what race are you running with? And I was like, well, I'm white, but it's a camp, right? Like, he's like, yeah, it's a camp, but there's definitely, it's racially divided still. And I was like, okay, all right, I guess I'm running with the whites, So all of this is processing me, and I'm just starting to tell myself, all right, this is a little bit more real than I thought. Because in my mind, I've been told I'm going to like a white collar camp, you can work out, you run a track, you'll eat some crappy food, and there'll be some really smart guys that didn't pay taxes or defrauded somebody or whatnot. But I wasn't expecting like the whole race thing to be an issue.
Right,
and,
me neither. I didn't know that was a thing there.
I didn't either, but as you're going to hear it, it was a little bit more intense than I thought. So maybe 2.5 hours later, after I saw a doctor as well, then they basically, my case manager comes over, and he was the worst of all of them. And this is a guy who is supposed to advocate to help me to get released and reform. And he was so cold, Officer Shepard. There was no questions. I wasn't allowed to ask any questions. As soon as I did, it was like, I'll tell you everything, and basically shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Because this is the guy I was going to deal with the entire time.
Wow.
So that was really rough for me, because I was hoping to have somebody I could at least, not a counselor per se, but just like explain to me step by step, like, okay, you'll be here for this long and this is what's going to happen.
And so everybody's assigned a case manager?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's only 2 there. There's about 320 inmates in the camp. So roughly 160, it's like A through whatever. go to one and the rest go to the other.
Is one supposed to be better than the other? Do you
One
hear?
was better for sure.
And that was not yours.
It was not mine. They both were terrible. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I think mine was a 1. I think the other one was probably like a 3 based on reviews.
Okay.
There was no 5-star reviews.
Yeah. They have probably a shitty job too, right? I mean,
listen, from what I saw, every job there to me was beyond shitty.
Yeah.
So
and they're not paid very well.
They're paid
at
very
all.
low. There's some risk there. One of the guards apparently was stabbed. That was in the camp, and he came from the media and came down to the camp because he went through a lot of PTSD, which I understand. And so he didn't want to work, or maybe they didn't want him to work at the medium anymore, but he was stabbed. I don't know where, stabbed somewhere. And so he was one of the officers that was working at the camp. Yeah. So all these employees definitely are underpaid.
Which is why there's so much trafficking inside prisons, and they bring in so much counterfeit goods.
Yes. There's a
contraband.
There's a lot of things I was told that was happening by the guards in that prison that I was absolutely shocked, as far as like additional ways to make money, because there's farming there and there's a lot of things that were being produced that weren't showing up in our food.
Okay. I want to hear about that in a second, but continue with.
So went back in the cell, and then another guy came in, another self-surrender. And he was probably, I think he was 22 years old, Mexican kid from San Diego, self-surrendered. And he seemed very much more confident than, like he's done this many times. So, when he came in, I was just kind of like, okay, I guess it's, I don't know. It made me feel a little more comfortable, actually, ironically, because I had someone else in there. And his name was Luis. So when he came in, they did the same thing with him. And then he asked me a couple questions because I was already there, doing what he was doing.
Is it true that you're not supposed to ask why you're there, why you're in prison for, what you're in prison for?
No, not in the camp.
That's not true. You can ask.
You can definitely ask. And a lot of people do. I think it's known. Yes, you're not really supposed to, but
people do.
I'm sure at the higher levels, you probably have to be cautious of that.
Right.
But truth be told, they're going to find out anyway. So I maybe that's just a respect thing, but I didn't find that to be true at all. I found actually that most people definitely are going to ask you why you're there, and they're curious, and there's a motive too with some people, right? A lot of guys in there are I'm going to say they're planning on how to make their time and resources better. Yeah. Because they're stuck there for a long time. Yeah. I mean, there was guys that were there 8 years already. And, in that camp for like four or five of it, 8, so they come down. So I'm like, man, you've been here a long time, 4 or 5 years in the camp.
Well, what were they in for? What is the majority of cases are drug cases, I'm assuming, or what are they?
Yes. Ironically, I would say probably, I'm just speculating, I would say probably 50 to 60% were drug related cases.
And then white collar crime?
I would say 10%.
Okay. And the rest?
The rest would be, I would say, let me backpedal. Of the drug cases, the longer term ones were always gun related. Okay. So I don't know if you're aware, if you have a gun, it's 10 years. Yeah. So there's a lot of guys that had that charge and they already did the time at the low and the medium, they're coming down. Got it. So of the 50, 60%, mostly drugs, I would say maybe 10 to 20% were gun charge related. Okay. So the other ones were maybe shorter sentences. The other ones there's no pedophiles, thank God, at the camp. They weren't allowed at the camp. And there was a guy who had a murder charge, believe it or not, in a state case that he already dealt with. And then he got caught federally for something else. I think it was drugs. So there was an actual guy that had a murder charge in there. But the rest of them, I would say, so maybe 30 to 40 guys were white collar, which is roughly 10%.
And the majority minorities, like in the rest of prisons?
Yeah, I would say, so of the cars, you understand the cars?
No.
So a car is basically a nice way of saying gang or race, I would say, mixed together. In Lompoc, there's the Islanders, which are mostly Asian. Then you have the blacks. You have the whites, which are called the Woods. You have the Paisas, which are Mexican. And then you have the homies. And the homies are basically true gangsters, like they're in gangs, you know.
So you were with the Woods?
Well, I thought, but there was an issue. There's one more car. It's called independent.
Okay.
And the independent car is when you're not in a car, you're completely on your own, but they call you an independent because you're basically truly a solo, like you're by yourself. Nobody's protecting you. Nobody's going to be backing you, so to speak. Whereas when you're in a car, let's say you're a black guy in a black car, then if there's a problem with your car, your race, the leader of that car is going to talk to the leader of the other car first. If it's Paisas and blacks have a problem, those two car leaders are going to speak, and they're going to say, all right, John did this, and you know he's at fault. All right, we'll handle our own race.
Why is it called a car?
I think it's just another way of, instead of saying,
they don't have to,
like,
so
gang,
they don't say gang. So there's not a
yeah, because most of these people are not in a gang.
Right.
So it's not, you know, I don't know what else to call it, I think. So I guess that's why they say car groups. Yeah. But I think a car is more of a prison thing, I guess. So when let me backpedal. So when Luis and I got released, I'm going to call it, the guards, after 2.5 hours or so.
Released into the prison, as in after you went through all the necessary
processing, the intake. He walked us out the same exact gate that we came in, which was really weird because as I'm walking back out, it was like I'm walking out of prison. I just got into prison, you know? And so when they opened the guard gates, this is a very weird moment. He says, all right, you see those fences over there? And they're about maybe, I don't know, a football field away. All right, there's like these brown, like horse trail fences, and there's a softball field. And then there's like grassy area. He's like, when you hit that, basically fences, turn left and keep walking. And I'm like, oh, is this candid camera? Like he's not following us. He's telling us just to walk over there and keep walking. So I'm all right. So to me, it was a little bit of relief because I'm like, all right, I'm not in this very intimidating prison. Right. So I'm going over here. It can't be worse. So we start walking. And as you turn the corner, you see a bunch of inmates working out, playing basketball. They're all wearing like gray shorts, gray sweatpants, and wife beaters or white shirts. So I clearly realized this is the camp, right? And so as I turn the corner, there's a track, and a black guy comes up to me and says, hey man, we stick out like sore thumbs. There's two guys in these disgusting orange jumpsuit, like rustic brown jumpsuits. And
wearing tiny boots that don't fit you.
Yeah. And everyone else is wearing something else. So it's like, here comes the new guys. You know, you have a sign that's a target on you. And so the black guy comes up to me and to us, and he says, oh, you running Woods? I was like, oh, wow, sure. You know,
you at this point had no idea what he meant.
I mean, I did because of the psychiatrist. You know,
because he had asked you.
But
you're right.
In my mind, I'm like, I don't know what I'm running. You know, like what, you know, I'd like to can I have a meeting first and see what this is all about? But, you know,
can I interview all the
you know,
all the leaders?
But I'm like, sure. You know, I just said, sure. And so as we come around the corner, there's these camps, or I call them dorms, and there's two of them. And then there's a chow hall. So there's a lot of inmates staring at us. You know, everyone's staring at you. And so you come around, and then there's a guy waiting with a clipboard, and he says, all right, let's take you over to laundry. And you walk over to the laundry room, like this big, I mean, they have these huge, you know, for all the inmates, this huge laundromat, basically. And there's two guys in there. And his name was Crazy and Penguin. This is my first introduction. Okay. Actually, let me backpedal. Brain is the guy that he's a homie
who asked you? Okay.
Who introduced us or walked us over for the intake to the laundry room. So Brain takes us over to meet Crazy and Penguin. And mind you, I don't think I got, in my entire 5.5 months, I don't think I got more than 10 real names. Entire time I was there. Wow. Literally.
It was all nicknames like that.
They all have prison names. And this is a camp. So
did you have one?
No, I didn't. Because I didn't understand. I'll never be back to prison, but if I did, I would probably call myself something else because it's the way it is. It's really hard to explain, but everyone has a nickname. Wow. Everyone.
And really good ones too.
Yeah. I mean, I can.
Penguin, Brain.
You're going to be surprised at some of them. And so I get to meet Crazy and Penguin. And Crazy has like, I mean, these guys have gang tattoos everywhere. Yeah. So Brain, which is an interesting name, walks us over to the laundry room, and I meet Crazy and Penguin. Crazy has like gang tattoos all over his head and face. He is an Islander, looks Mexican, but definitely these guys are probably in their late 50s. You could tell they've been in prison a long, long time and have worked their way down. These are not white collar guys, right? And then Penguin was a Mexican guy, and he also was a homie. So that means he was in a gang or is still in a gang or whatever. And he looked very serious, kind of cold. But they just threw us attire, I'll call it. You know, it's a prison jumpsuit. It looks like you look like you're a mechanic. It's like a button down, really disgusting. That's probably been passed around maybe for the last 10 years. And then they give you this mattress, and it's, I mean, you can carry it, so that tells you enough in itself, and you can curl it up.
Right.
Okay?
So it's
thin. This thin.
Yeah.
Okay. And I didn't realize how bad that was until I got to lay on it. But so you're carrying a mattress and some clothes, and then you go from laundry to meet your bunkie and find your sleeping arrangement. And again, everyone's staring at you because you're brand new and it's very obvious. So you come over to the dorm.
Do you think people knew who you were?
No.
Nobody knew who you were. You weren't like a celebrity.
No, not initially. But
okay.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
So I get into the dorm, and I am blessed because my bunkie was a 76-year-old man named Mickey, who was a Jewish guy who was like exactly what you would anticipate, a very, very rich Beverly Hills Jewish man who was there for fraud and was happy, and like was the first moment of like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad.
Oh,
you know?
that's great.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I'll be honest, he was probably the best bunkie I could have chose out of 320 guys.
What kind of fraud was he in there for? Do you know?
So he does some sort of like, I'm going to call it high interest loans. He's very wealthy with like properties with people. And I don't really know the details of his case because I didn't really ask, but I don't believe he did anything wrong. That I will say. First of all, he's filthy rich. That doesn't mean that he's not guilty.
Was he saying that he was innocent?
Oh yeah. And he was the smartest guy in the prison by a landslide. And when I say a landslide, he was Andy Dufresne of Shawshank Redemption, where every single inmate was coming to him. He was such a nice man.
Wow.
He was giving them all free advice as a lawyer. He actually he passed the bar.
While in there?
No, before.
Oh, before. Okay.
He's a brilliant man. And the more I spoke to him, the more brilliant I realized. I mean, he lived in like a $30 million home in Beverly Hills. He had multiple homes. So, you know, and they didn't take it all. So that tells you that he wasn't, I'm not saying he's not guilty, but I do believe whatever crime, I don't know the details of the crime, so it's hard for me to even make judgment. But based on what the knowledge I have of this gentleman, I don't believe he was ever out to hurt anyone. I do believe that what I've learned about prison is there was a lot of people that don't understand they're committing a crime and they end up in prison. And I want to elaborate more about that later because I'm going to tell you right now, Anton and I were talking about this as I drove here today. I don't want to drive over 66 miles an hour on a 65 because I am so afraid of the system and how many people go to prison for things that they truly are doing things wrong and don't even know it. And I saw it firsthand.
Really?
Yes.
So there was a lot of people there. Really? Do you think that's real, or do you think they just claimed that they didn't know?
Well, listen, everyone claims they're innocent. I mean, that is true. I mean, everybody
that
there.
Too.
I didn't. I told everybody
you didn't.
I was guilty, and I never tried to say otherwise. But even the ones who got caught, very few of them were admitting like, oh, you know, but a lot of the drug offenders, they didn't. They were obviously, they said I'm guilty. Right. But like the fraud cases, yes.
They're a little more complicated, I guess.
Yeah. Now, do I believe that probably half of them say they're innocent and they're not? Yes. But I do believe, because I asked detailed questions when I was able to, and we would walk around the track and get to know a lot of these guys. And I'm a pretty intelligent guy. So when I asked the right questions, in my opinion, I would get answers that would deem, I'm going to give you an example. One gentleman was there for fraud. He got, I think, 3 years. And he claims that, and I don't have facts, so I'm making judgment, and I hate doing this because I just got judged a lot myself.
It's okay. You're not saying his name, so it's okay.
Yeah, okay. So he claims that every person that he took money from was paid back in full, plus the dividend they were promised. He claims he was in prison because he misallocated funds. And he claims that when he received, I'm going to just say a number, this isn't what he said, $2 million, it went in the wrong bank account. and he didn't understand the legalities of like, it has to go into this specific account, et cetera. And then people would be receiving their money and then their dividend or whatever. Obviously, he was raising money for something. The reason I think that he's innocent, actually, as far as there's no victims in his case.
Or so he says.
Well, people looked him up. So you can look up on Pacer my case or anyone's case, and you could see if there's victims. So he wasn't lying about victims. There was no victims. Now, do I understand his case? No. Did he maybe make it right afterwards? That's possible. You know, got caught and then paid back people. But there was. And
even if he didn't know that was wrong, ignorance of the law doesn't absolve you, right?
Correct. You're right. And it's our job to at least do some homework of whatever we're getting into. So that part, you're right. Now, here's where I might argue. Let's say you're correct. I still don't believe that person should go to prison.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you.
I believe he should be fined. He should be charged. He should community service, make sure every victim is paid back if there is any, of course, first and foremost. But putting him in that prison away from his children, I just don't see the value, especially now that I've been there. There's zero reform. There's zero, no one's getting any education. I gave 2 carnitas to sign up for all these classes that don't exist, to say that I'm programming.
What does that mean?
That means I gave $8 worth of shredded beef in value to be signed up to all these classes that the Bureau of Prisons is supposed to be giving the inmate.
And you didn't get any of those classes?
Class.
That doesn't exist?
No. Doesn't even, no teacher, no nothing.
Sorry. Either I'm very slow or I don't understand. What is that? What do you mean by the carnitas of it all?
So in Lompoc, the currency instead of stamps
are carnitas?
It's carnitas, shredded beef. Okay.
Really?
Which are $5, $4, and it was, I think now it's $5. When I left, it changed. It went up a little bit. It's $5 in value. So if you and I wanted to exchange something in prison, I could buy at commissary up to $100 worth of carnitas, which are literally shredded beef packages.
Are they good?
I mean, nothing's good that you buy.
But it's better than the food that they serve you there, I guess?
Yes.
If it's valuable, it has to be somewhat good.
It definitely is better. And it has 40 grams of protein. The problem is it's a bag of beef and it's sodium. Nothing's good for you.
Right.
But it's the best form of, at that point, you're just trying to get protein in and stay off really bad carbs.
Okay, so if I have something you really want from me, you'll give me 2 bags of carnitas?
Depends on what it is, right? For example, in my case, I paid eventually my bunkie to do my job, and that costs $100. So the value of that is 20 carnitas. So for 20 carnitas, I also bought it.
What was your job that you had to do?
To clean the bathrooms.
Okay, yeah.
I also bought an MP3 player in prison. $50 value. I paid 20 carnitas, $100.
Contraband, probably, right? It wasn't supposed to be there. Okay,
Correct.
How much was that?
$20, or excuse me, 20 carnitas, so $100
for the MP3 player,
which they bought for like 40, 50 bucks, on the street.
Okay.
Or through Amazon.
And how does this relate to the lessons that the BOP is supposed to be giving you?
Well, the lessons are when you go to prison and a camp, you're supposed to have an opportunity to program and learn. The minute you get into prison or in the camp, going back to when I'm walking up to my bunk, let's go back to that. You have to sign up to receive your FSA credits, the good time credits. You immediately have to program, because if you don't program and you don't sign up for these classes and education, you don't qualify to get the good time.
Got it. Okay.
So
now I understand.
The first thing I did was as I spoke to my bunkie, he said, you got to go on that computer and you need to immediately sign up for this and that. And I didn't know what it was. So I said, please come help me. And we went over and immediately signed up for everything. And to get on that list in the programming, I paid the Jewish car 2 carnitas, and he just signed me up for all of them. And I never had to show up to any of it because it didn't exist. Now, there are some classes that do exist. The 2 that I did see, which are beneficial, there was a Spanish English class, which I sat in because I was journaling a lot. And I was trying to make the best. As I told you, defining success to me was making the best of every minute I was there, right? So when I was journaling about my story as I write my book, Controlled Chaos, which I'm going to release it in like 3 weeks, I wanted to really journal all these moments so that my book encapsulates everything that I'm
Right.
describing to you.
Mhm.
And so I went in the Spanish class and I just sat in the back of the room and pretended like I was part of the class, but I was really journaling about my nights in prison or everything, right? But in this class, this is one of the classes that I saw that actually people were learning.
Mhm.
They were doing Spanish and English for the people on both ends. And the other class was your GED class was happening. So
Right.
those two are the only reform I saw ever in prison.
And the others, you still got less time in prison because you signed up for those, or prisoners
Yeah.
can get that,
Yeah.
but they don't actually exist.
Yeah.
So it's like a scam happening inside the prison.
100%. So I went to a class one time because some classes you go you sign up for a class one time and then there was I'm not going to say a class. That's not true. It's called A&O.
Mm-hmm.
So A&O is like an orientation
Mm-hmm.
and they have orientation for every new inmate. Usually it's like a group of 30 because they don't do them every day. 2-3 guys come in, 4 or 5 guys, they wait, and then they do an A&O. So when I went to A&O, there was several officers that were describing, okay, this is this, how the orientation works. That was the only class I ever went to. Now, there were other classes that I literally went, and Brain, same guy.
Yeah.
When I walked in, he goes, here, just sign the clipboard. You're good. I got you. So there's no class. And I even said, so there actually is no class? He's like,
nope.
no. So I'm like, okay. And
What a waste.
It's a complete waste.
Because if you look at recidivism rates, which are very high, the amount of people that I think it's like 70% of something that people end up going back to prison.
Correct.
Like you'd think that this is an opportunity for that not to happen, to lower the recidivism rates, because this is eventually affect us all, right? If a prisoner is not getting better
Correct.
and becoming a better human being once they're inside the prison, they're going to be more of a threat when they get out. And in fact, in many cases, they come out as worse human beings than they went in. And so it's bad for all of us.
It really is because Michael Santos, who was on your channel here, amazing individual.
Love him. Yeah.
He's trying to make these changes now.
Yeah, he is.
And this is why. And he came while I was in the prison and spoke.
Mm-hmm.
He happened to be doing his tour throughout the prisons and came to Lompoc and actually was a speaker. And it was really great to see because I was an inmate.
Right.
And
for our viewers who don't know, Michael Santos, we did an interview with him. He was one of our early people we interviewed. He has a company called Prison Professors, right? An organization called Prison Professors.
Correct.
Where people can learn about being in prison. And he says, prison should never be, there's a few things that he said that I'll never forget. One of which was never go into prison. They'll tell you that when you're in prison, you should be focusing on the life inside and forget about the life outside because that's the only way you'll survive it. He says it should be the exact opposite is forget about the life inside and focus on your future outside because that's what's going to keep you alive and motivated.
Right.
And the other thing he says is that it shouldn't be counting days, right? It was something about like, you shouldn't be here and counting days.
Right.
You should be enriching those days and making the most out of it and making sure that every single day counts and you're becoming more educated, more again, a better human being, a better version of the person you came in. So
nobody did that better than him.
Right.
45-year sentence, 26 years from a solitary confinement of a max all the way down to a camp. He actually did time at Lompoc. And one of the things he says is you shouldn't be judged, your time in prison shouldn't be judged by the turn of a calendar, right? The pages of a calendar.
Yes. Okay. That's how he said it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so true though, because that's just wasted time.
It's wasted time. He should be getting all the medals that exist out there because he's an incredible human being.
Well, do you know where he's at today? He's got over, as of last I talked to him, 7,000 inmates are on his program now throughout the country. Wow. And I'm going to speak about it quickly because I don't understand it all perfectly, but basically, when you're in prison, if you do the education process that he's having you do, which is reading books, journaling, creating basically a plan, a release plan, then you get points. And in that point system, the more points you get, the earlier you get released. Yeah. So now you're giving a person who's in prison an opportunity to educate himself, have a release plan, and goals, and earning their freedom. Right.
Yeah. An incentive to becoming better and to
guess
wanting
what?
to leave. Yeah.
What's going to happen when that person leaves prison? Right. They actually have a chance. They may have a business plan. And he's even going so far that he wants to have like a mini Shark Tank in prison where you propose a business plan to someone like him or whatever. And think about that.
Right.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, because actually this is something that I think we spoke last time you were on this podcast, which is like the talents that exist is something that I've really seen throughout my work. The talents that exist in these black markets with people in the illegal side of business are transferable, completely transferable.
Right.
And if a lot of times it's the lack of opportunities or the access or direction that, in your case, direction that led you to do, but you are pure prime example of this, right? Somebody who's incredibly talented, incredibly smart, really good at what you created. Unfortunately, it was an illegal business, but imagine that. And I'm sure we'll get there too, which is what you're now building and doing yourself, right? But yeah, and so he's giving people these opportunities. You have skills that can be transferred into building something that's legal and good for the rest of the world.
You have some of the most creative minds in the world that are in prison, right? I mean, you're right. They're just directed in the wrong way. Maybe it was their upbringing or whatever, but we can't make excuses for them. They chose that route, including me. But you're right. Why not redirect that into something positive, you know, and make them Einsteins in their own way and help the world and give, which is what I'm trying to do now, is impact and inspire people and give. I mean, you get more out of giving than getting anyway.
Always. Yeah. And we'll get to what you're doing now as well. So you noticed firsthand that the prisons are a waste of time.
Yes. They call it BOP, right? Bureau of Prisons. Right. And every prisoner or inmate says it's backwards on purpose. And it's sadly true, you know, and I'm not saying that prisons, you know, there are some things that they do right, of course, but in general, it's just so bad. I mean, every aspect of it is run so poorly. It truly isn't. Michael Santos is working with, I believe it's Joshua Smith, who used to be an inmate. And I believe the system has progress going the right direction because of these changes they're trying to make. Get rid of some of the camps and get people, you know, home confinement where they could work and live their life. And, you know, again, to me, if you're a pedophile or you commit a violent crime, you rape somebody, you murder somebody, you need to go to prison.
Yeah,
of course
that's where you belong.
100%. But if somebody, you know, mishandles some funds, and they should be punished. You're right. I just feel like the punishment needs to be appropriate, you know, properly.
Right. And so you saw a lot of people there that you don't think should be in there.
Yes. I mean, again, I don't know the full facts of their case, but like even if they did what they were accused of and they're completely guilty, I feel there's so much better ways to punish them, you know, and for them to reform and actually do the right thing. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. So Frankie, your roommate, Frankie, right?
Mickey.
Sorry. Yeah. Mickey, your roommate was a gift from God. It was great that he was your roommate.
I love the word roommate. In prison, you don't have your own room.
That's right.
Funky.
You're cellmate.
Yeah. In my case, no cellmate, thank God, because I was in a dorm.
Oh,
so imagine the setting. So there's 3 dorms at Lompoc, and the setting is basically, you know, when you drive by an Air Force base and you see those where the planes go in the hangars.
Yeah.
Imagine a mini hangar that's old and disgusting with each one had approximately 60 bunks, and there's steel bunks, you know, two you know, top and bottom, and disgusting restrooms, and then one little room to watch TV, a TV room, and then that's pretty much it. An office for an officer. And that's pretty much the dorm setting. And it's exactly what you would think. It's military style, you know, just bunk, you know, 4 sets of bunks, and a lot of guys just, you know, sitting in their lockers, eating out of their locker. I mean, it's really amazing how much time you spend in prison eating out of a locker.
Why out of a locker?
Because that's all you have is a locker. Like in front of your bunk is a locker, your locker, which you can get a lock for, and you put your food, your clothes, and it's tiny.
There's no table and chairs?
Oh, no. There's no table. You have everyone's allowed one little cheap like plastic chair. And that chair has to be.
Where you sit all day?
Or on your bunk. I mean, it's up to you how you spend your time, right? For me, giving you the day in the life of Matt Bowyer in prison. Let's go back to the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks was shock and awe. I mean, night 1 was 2 hours of sleep. How in the hell did I get here? Like laying in a bunk with a lot of noises, because there's a lot of disgusting men that are snoring and burping and just, you know, and like there's quiet time is rare. And then you have a guard that walks by every, so you have counts from 4 p.m., 10 p.m. Those are standing counts. You have to be standing and quiet. and then they count all the inmates, right? And then at midnight, they do the flashlight count. So if you're sleeping, they flashlight in your face, make sure you're there, and you hear the keys jingle, which anyone listening to this who's been to prison, they'll all talk about the keys. It's like a sound you can never get out, of your mind.
Do you get used to those sounds? I'm sure.
Yeah, kind of.
After a while, you can sleep through it.
And I'm a guy who, again, I was only there for 5.5 months. So imagine 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you, after like 2 months, whether it was 2 years or 2 months, to me, I was already in that the same program. I would have been doing the same thing 2 years later. It would have been no different, except for I would be able to sit here and say I did 5 years or 3 years, in my opinion. Right. But you're right. Yeah, you get used to those sounds and noises, but you never get a deep sleep because they come by at 12 and then 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Wow. And
some guards are louder on purpose, to be honest, because they just want to be.
Because they can. Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of like fucking with you because, most of them are miserable, to be honest, in their own life. Most of them live on the premise. They have housing there. Oof. It's disgusting. It's really sad how they live.
That's so depressing.
It's really bad. They never leave the actual prison, other than maybe go to dinner or grocery store. And that life is, I would rather work at McDonald's and live in an apartment in Compton, California. And I truly would rather do that than do what they do.
100. I mean, I would not let that be the case. That shouldn't be the case. Like correctional officers should be living outside and then coming in. So they bring like good energy with them and make the environment better. Yeah.
I don't know how many of them live on the premise, but I know a lot do because I saw the housing. We, as inmates, one of the jobs is to go mow their lawn and, tidy up their quarters, I'll call it.
This is stuff that you're not paid for, right?
You are paid.
You are in that
so
case.
I made $12 a month while I was in prison for my job, and I paid $100 for someone to do it. But so I was a negative $88 a month. But truth be told, you get usually it's like 25 to 50 cents an hour, depending on the job.
And they don't have a problem inside with you paying somebody else to do the work that's supposed to be yours.
It can. So you listen. You really have to, like, for me, when I came in, I told you I had to evaluate everything first before I made any major decisions. Right. I have a rule in my life that I've applied to myself. I call it I'm sure you heard of Susie Welch and her 10-10-10 rule. Mine is 5-5-5. So I think about every decision I make. How is this going to affect me in 5 days, 5 months, and 5 years?
I remember you saying this.
Right.
Yeah.
So in prison, I applied it even shorter term, but before I made any decisions, I had to think about, okay, let me evaluate what's happening first and then see who's successful, in my opinion, and how I want to do my time. And then I'll take that and I'll make it my own. That's really what I do in everything in life, right? I'm a sponge. I try to sponge from people that are successful or even not successful and learn. So I just really evaluated for 2 weeks. I was a little bit more quiet and timid. And then my personality started coming out. But my point is, I wanted to see how everyone was operating and who I wanted to ask, okay, how are you doing this? Where'd you get this food? Who are you talking to? How do you get these clothes? Because some people have nicer shoes and nicer this and that. But you also can't walk in there on day one and just start barking orders and act like you're somebody. Right. So anyway, I'm just evaluating. So after a few weeks, I realized, okay, now I see there's people getting stuff brought in. I see how these people have brand new shoes that you can't even buy at the commissary. I see people eating food that clearly is not from here and not even, you can't purchase. And then I see people doing drugs and I see people drinking and I see people doing vapes. I see all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
But that wasn't my thing. So the main thing I told myself is do not get put in the shoe, no matter what, So you got to avoid altercations. I don't drink alcohol, especially in prison. I don't do drugs. Gambling, okay, that's going to be the only challenge I see. And then a cell phone. And cell phones are rampant.
Everybody has one, or a lot of people have them.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is a contraband coming in?
Well, there's 40 ways. Truly, it's exactly what you would think. Guards, there's so many. It's every which way possible.
Family members, guards, but a lot the guards. Again, it goes back to
and keep in mind, we're on a camp where we half of the jobs, the guy get in a van and drives 5 miles away to the farming area where his wife could pull up and he's on a tractor and see him for 2 hours, or talk on the phone or whatever. So the jobs really could be very
Mhm.
flexible in that sense, you know.
What did you get when you went
Mine was
inside?
cleaning the bathrooms.
No, I know. I mean, what contraband did you get?
Well, I'd never had a cell phone because I didn't want that exposure.
Uh-huh.
Mine was food.
And the MP3 player?
Well,
right?
I got rid of that literally within 48 hours.
Because?
I bought it, and then my bunkie, who was helping so many people, and what he was doing was helping them write up like BP 8s, 9s, and 10s, or I think it went up to like a 12, which is basically a letter to the government to say either your case manager is not doing his job,
Mhm.
or I'm entitled to this by the law. And because he was a lawyer and brilliant, he did a really good job of writing
Mhm.
these up. So the prison was not liking him too much,
Hmm.
and the officers, even though he was the kindest man, because he was helping write up stuff that
Yeah.
would affect them.
Right.
So our locker got searched randomly.
Constantly.
And I was
Yeah.
just right away after I bought the MP3 player.
Uh,
And if I got caught with that, I'd go to
Shit.
shoe.
yeah.
And I promised my wife that I
That
would
you
never
wouldn't.
go to shoe, right? Or risk that. So I was on the track and I heard that we were being searched, and I was freaking out. Like, because that would have been 41 days in the shoe,
Oh, shit.
up to 41 days, depending on the situation. And every day you go in the shoe, if you're guilty of whatever you're in trouble for, it's you lose all that time.
Yeah. I would be pissed at you if I was your wife. Yeah.
Obviously for MP3 player.
Right.
But it sounds ridiculous. But the reality is having music and working out and like
Of
having
course.
access,
I'm sure it helps.
it
Yeah.
helps a lot, right? But I also realized that almost everyone there has one,
Mhm.
and I've been told they usually just take it.
Mhm.
They don't write you up for it.
Is that what happened?
No. So when they didn't search my locker, they searched his.
Uh-huh.
So when I was able to get back after I realized my heart came back to where it belonged, I took the MP3 player and I gave it to someone.
Uh,
And I said, you know, they were thrilled because that's like huge value, right?
Yeah.
They can
Oh,
go
wow.
sell it for $100 or whatever. I said, here, you can have it. I don't even want it. You know, I
Mhm.
want no part of this thing.
And
So I mean, I got rid of it instantly. And
so food was the only thing then that you started buying on the black market
Yeah.
in prison?
yeah, because I knew food you can get in trouble, but I've never saw anyone go to the shoe for food.
Uh-huh.
They just take it depending on what it is.
Mhm.
Now, I got caught actually from my officer. I had this protein drink and it was in a carton, and it was very obvious that it wasn't sold at commissary. And you get a little, like, this is the end of my time. I got a little relaxed because now I was settled in, and I'm sitting there and I'm drinking a protein drink, and he walks by. I hear the keys. I didn't even think I was doing something wrong.
Mhm.
So he literally looks at me, and I felt him look at me weird. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I was just drinking a protein drink, but clearly it's contraband. So he goes to the bathroom and he comes back, and I'm still sitting there sipping on it. And he walks up and he goes, "Are you stupid?" And I said, "I hope not. Why?" And he's like, "You're going to sit there and just drink that in front of my face?" And I'm like, oh shit.
shit.
You know, like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so dumb.
So
you know?
not worth it.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and I said, "I apologize." I played dumb. I said, "I didn't even know. I thought you could buy this at commissary," which clearly is
You
bullshit.
knew that it was
Yeah.
not the case.
You know, I just played dumb. And then he's
Yeah.
like, "Throw that away."
Yeah.
You know, and he walked away.
Yeah.
So, but I do believe that I respected the guards. I didn't talk to them, and I didn't really do anything. So I think he was just like, whatever, you know,
Mhm.
I don't think he's to write me up for that.
Mhm.
So my point to you is there were nights that we had shrimp and steak
Oh, wow.
because we had it brought in. I mean, these are rare moments, but then I ended up having a chef in there, and that was fantastic.
You paid for a chef?
I had 2 of them. Yeah, it was great.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Yeah, I did because
Wait, were these inmates as well?
Oh yeah,
the chefs?
absolutely.
And they were actual chefs? Like when they were on the
On the
outside, they were
street,
good?
one of them was.
Uh-huh.
We say on the street. This is
Yeah.
Doug talk now.
Yeah.
But in prison, you always say on the streets.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, his job on the street was he was a chef.
Yeah.
And he was my bunkie, my third bunkie.
How much did you pay him?
I
How many
paid him
carnitas?
$100 to make food,
Uh-huh.
$100 to do my bunk, $100 for the butler concierge service.
And this is what, per month? Per
Yeah,
week?
So $300 a month.
Okay.
And then I outsourced him to where he was making $600 from others because
He would cook more for the others.
so
and
he started making food for 6 of us.
Uh-huh.
So he was actually making seriously up to like $3,000 a month in prison.
But he was making that money. It wasn't, you were outsourcing him. Were you making a cut of that as well?
I could have, but honestly, he was so poor and such a sweetheart of a guy.
Was he in there for drugs?
Really sad story. His name was Tito. Great guy. He did 6.5 years, and I'm gonna dummy down the story. He's guilty. He admits it. But basically, he was a chef in, I think, Texas, and a Mexican kid. He's in the Paisa car, and he was working with a guy in Texas that was selling ammunition legally. So he says. And then he was selling ammo, and then Tito sold ammo. He got involved in the business and started making money. So he sold ammo to the cartel. Didn't know it. And then the guy who he was working with, his neighbor, something happened with his ammunition to where the cartel, he didn't provide the right amount of ammo that they paid for or something. Yeah. And then the cartel called Tito's house, his home phone, which most people don't have anymore, and threatened basically his family. Like, said, look, you owe us this. And he's like, I don't have it. He's like, well, we have some things we need you to do then. So you know what that led to. Drugs. And so
that's how he found himself in prison.
Very first job.
Really? Or that's what he says?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I believe him.
Yeah.
Because he told me everything. He never lied ever that I'm aware of. And, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm guilty. I got 6.5 years for this. So night one in prison, going back to that, after I got to my bunk, I met my bunkie, Mickey. Within about 7 or 8 minutes, I had 2 white guys that definitely were, how do I describe it? Shaved heads. One had a goatee down here. His name was Catfish, and he had about 2 teeth. And the other guy's name was Dale, and shaved head. They had very, I'm going to just say white trashes, tattoos and listen, I have tattoos and mine are from 1990. So you could even claim that about me. But the point is that they just didn't look like clean customers. Okay. And nice guys, but they came over to me and said, all right, we're the leaders of the woods. Would you like
the white gang,
of the white gang, or the white car? You want to run with us? And I said, sure. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's like, I felt like if I said no, because I still didn't understand what does that mean, but I knew I was in a camp. So I knew it's like I had to go beat people up or anything. So long story short, I said, sure. At least I felt like some love coming to me, because within 2 minutes later, every white guy came up to me and brought me something. Toothpaste, shower shoes.
No way.
Instantly. Now I'm accepted. That's how I felt. It was like being like in a fraternity.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get all these items, and in my mind, I'm like, shit, I didn't ask for this stuff, but they're going to want something for this. Like, they don't just give you things in prison. I knew that was not good. But at the same time, I knew what it meant. I was part of this car or whatever. And all they said to me was, yeah, you can give it back to us later when you get money on your books. Because when you walk into prison, I don't care how, I came with $500 cash. It took 2 weeks for that to hit my books. So you can't buy anything at commissary. You can't even use a phone. You can't call your wife.
Oh, wow.
So my bunkie, this is how I got money in my books. My bunkie called his son, who called my wife, and Western Union $300. That's how I was able to make things happen so fast, to where I had money, to where I could, email, because you can email on TrueLinks, and it's 6 cents for every email you send. And then the phone calls are the same. They charge you for that. So anyway, long story short, you have no money on commissary to buy. And commissary it's every 2 weeks. So I said, yeah, I'll repay all of these items as soon as I can. They're like, yeah, that's cool. That's why we do it, whatever. And a couple of the guys said you can have it, like an old shirt that probably was 8 sizes too small or big or whatever. But, just they're crap. But you're grateful, because these things are needed, especially like the shower shoes. Drastically need those. I mean. Because
it's so dirty in there?
Well.
And full of.
Not to be disgusting, but there's 320 inmates.
Yeah.
And you only know what goes on in the shower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone, you're definitely you won't see one human being walking into the shower without their shoes on.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
And if you're part of the certain cars, like the homies, you have to bring your boots, because if something pops off, there's a fight or a riot or whatever, they got to butt naked throw on their boots and go fight. So the boots that's the requirement of that car. Every car has different requirements, which I learned later. But this is at a camp. It's lowest level. Like,
yeah, imagine what it's like in like some
way
high
different.
security. Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of like serious rules. If you don't abide by, you're going to have problems. Anyway, for me, I was like, okay. And then maybe 15 minutes come by and he comes back over and he says, well, both of them, and they say, hey, you don't have any cooperation, right? Your paperwork's clean. And I was like, oh God. I said,
oh shit, because you did cooperate with the
I cooperated in regards to the casinos. And also
the Shohei Ohtani case.
And also, so if you recall, I was raided in October and the feds went through all my electronics, of course. So they come back over to me and they say, just making sure you don't have any cooperation on your paperwork. It's clean, right? And I was like, well, truth be told, I have cooperation against the casinos. I didn't rat on any humans. And they're like, well, so what do you mean by that? And I was like, again, I'm here because an investigation started through the casinos. And I made a deal with my lawyer who made a deal with the U.S. government that I will not talk about my business or anyone of my agents or anyone in my operation, but I will discuss the casinos and how I laundered money through the casinos.
Right. So this is a great moment to go back to your case and why you ended up in prison. You were running a massive illegal betting operation. It was making, I think in 2023, it made, tell us the peak, give us the peak of the operation and then the investigation.
2023, I did over $1 billion in wagers.
Right, which is insane.
Yeah. And
I had to repeat $1 billion when I did your intro because it's crazy. Yeah.
I actually didn't realize how big it was because I was just running it and so consumed with what I was doing. Right. And when I went to court is when I heard the prosecution reading off the numbers, I was like,
holy shit.
Christ.
And you alone, you made yourself 16 million in profit.
Yeah, 16.2 million just off of one customer, which was the interpreter.
Oh, okay. So you're making way more than that.
Yeah. I would say probably $1.5 million a month, like consistently. But that year in particular, it had to be more, right? I mean, my tax return, which I had to file, I think it showed, because I remember I had to give away to agents and the website and all offset other stuff, but it was like 17 million or something crazy for that year.
That's insane. Okay. And then the federal government started investigating whether casinos were laundering money, right?
Or allowing
the laundering of money from
bookmakers,
criminals,
drug dealers, all the above, right? Yeah. Which a particular casino, Resorts World, was not only allowing,
incentivizing, right? Almost.
Yeah. I mean, they were looking the other way times 1,000.
Right.
They need to own that, which they kind of are trying to.
Because the casinos stand to make a lot of money. So, for example, I think for people to understand, if I'm running an illegal betting company like you were, or if I'm selling illegal drugs or guns, I'm earning all this money. What do I make with this money? Right. A lot of people actually launder that money by going to casinos. They'll bet a ton of money. They leave. They actually won't. In your case, you did. But some people actually just go in, they get the chips, they pretend they bet a little bit, but then they cash out and they say they won. Yeah, they wash it. And that's what happens.
They get a check from the casino,
right?
Or a wire. And then now you can go buy a house or a car or have income and pay taxes on it if you like.
You say you made the money because you
gambled
great. Yeah.
Correct.
And the federal government and the casinos are supposed to know who's doing this and not allow them to be doing this. And some do actually are good at not allowing this. It's the
KYC.
The KYC.
Yeah, know your customer rule.
Okay, know your customer rule. Yeah.
Correct. Which has been implemented, many years ago, but was not really being implemented drastically by the casinos until I would say recently, maybe in the last 10 years. And then some were following, which I was not allowed to go anymore because of it.
Because they knew that
they knew what I was doing. Yeah. In fact, every casino knew what I was doing. But some compliance office would say, show us your tax return, which I did. I paid a lot of taxes, millions of dollars. So, and I said I was a professional gambler. That's what I filed on my return, along with a few businesses I own. And I showed all that. So they allowed me to continue to gamble. Some said, okay, we understand we have your tax returns, but we know you're still running a legal business. They didn't say this to me, but they said, you're not welcome to gamble anymore. Resorts World not only gave me the red carpet, but they hired my wife as an independent rep, as my casino host, and allowed us to come in. And my crew and I, we lost, between me and a friend of mine and a couple other people, we lost over 24 million.
Wow.
In the Resorts World Casino. Another
Yes.
bookmaker, I'm not going to name his name, and all the people we were bringing in. It was a total of 24 million. I lost technically around 13 between me and a couple of people that I had betting for me, but 24 million total. And then they were fined $10.5 million by the Nevada Gaming Control Board. So they netted 13.5 million, and they got a slap on the wrist. I went to prison and am no longer allowed to gamble there. And
I've been how angry does that make you?
That is out of everything that's transpired, that's the most frustrating part.
So they paid 13 million. That's what they had to pay in the end?
No, they paid 10.5. They netted 13.5 million just of our crew.
Just from your crew. But they only had to pay $10.5 million. $10.5 million. That was their.
Well, let me backpedal. That's to the Nevada Gaming Control Board. The case, which I went to prison for, is still ongoing. Remember, I advanced my sentencing. I'm the only one in the case that chose to do that. And it could be a bad decision. It could be a good decision, or it could be a really smart decision as far as getting it over with. But who knows? The case is still going. The federal government is fighting with Resorts World. I don't know the logistics of it. I just know that it's transpired much longer than anticipated. And I will tell you that my prosecution has changed from when I initially was indicted. And that's why when I went to court, it was a different prosecutor. And that case, I believe, is kind of gone stale. I do believe the regime change of Donald Trump coming into office and all the changes that were made, of course, with the prosecutors, has changed this case drastically.
So you don't think they're actually going to go after them? You think they're going to?
I think they're having a lot of trouble, and it may have been just pushed aside a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of people indicted, so I believe the indictments are going to have to be followed through. But the amount of money, I believe, that was talked about in a settlement between the government and the casinos, I believe, has drastically changed from hundreds of millions down to much more minimal numbers.
Wow. And do you think anyone is ever going to do time in prison from that case?
No, because they all cooperated. So I don't feel that, I believe that none of them will actually, I actually hope they don't go to prison, to be honest. I'm rooting for them as human beings, and I don't feel that that's going to benefit them anyway. But I don't feel that they'll go to prison because my charges are higher than almost everybody in that case. The amount of money I was gambling and the amount of money I laundered was drastically higher. And then I had a falsified tax return charge. Most of the other people that I know that are in the case don't have a tax charge.
I'm talking about the heads of the casino, the people that's what I'm talking about. Those people, do you think any of them will ever do time in prison? No, of course not. Of course not. In fact, that's what gets me so angry, right?
Yeah, it ended up being profitable for them. Yeah. I mean, if you can make $13.5 million, the only thing that did happen is the truth is the president of Resorts World was the one who fell on the sword. He, like me, was the fall guy in their department. For me, I feel like I was the fall guy for Nevada Gaming Control Board in Las Vegas and all these things, because I'm banned and barred from every casino in the country. I'm in the Nevada's Black Book. There's only 39 people in the world. I'm with mobsters, Frankie, Rosenthal and Anthony Spilotro. These are people that were in the Black Book. I'm one of those people. I've never murdered anybody. I've never harmed anyone, but technically, I guess you could say I have. I was running a gambling business and people lost money, but they all came to me. I didn't pursue anyone. I didn't have any marketing or materials like DraftKings and FanDuel do on TV every 5 minutes and LeBron James advocating for me. I just ran a business. People came to me. They loved my service. They continued to bet with me, and I paid them when they won. But anyway, long story short, the president his name was Scott Zabella. He got a $9,500 fine and fired from his job, and a 5-year ban from the business, from being in the gaming business. That's the only thing that occurred.
That is insane to me. That is crazy. And he knew full well that this was happening at the casino. In fact, do you think he was part of why? I mean, he incentivized it, or it was his orders to incentivize this, or allow this, or to have a very weak compliance department?
I'm going to be honest with you. I know he knew that I was an illegal bookmaker. I believe he said in record that he didn't, but I know everyone in that town knew. So there's no doubt of that. I don't blame him for saying he didn't, but do I believe it's his fault, or is he said, hey, go out and get these people? I don't believe that. I believe their compliance department was so bad and didn't care, and they needed business, that they just overlooked tons of these things. And I'll tell you why. This is what I do know. In the government's, I'm going to call it investigation, with employees of Resorts World who mostly are no longer working there. It's a fact. It's actually in the Nevada Gaming Control Board's complaint. If you read it, if you pull it up, you can attach it to this podcast. It says that they had a meeting, and it says Bowyer is a bookie, and they erased it in their compliance meeting. Okay. So it's really hard for them to say they didn't know I was a bookie.
Of course they did, yeah.
When it was on a board and employees
Oh my God.
in front of federal government employees said that. So they knew, and I don't blame the president for it. But the reason I don't blame him is because everyone's at fault. But of course, he's the president, so he's going to be the fall guy. Yeah, so I understand why they fired him. Right. But the truth be told, I don't believe he was the one, organizing it, or I think he was just running a business, and people below him were inaccurate on what they're doing.
But it was in this investigation into Resorts World and what they were doing that your name came about, right? And then the government started investigating, because if you hadn't done any business with them, if you hadn't spent a lot of money gambling with Resorts World, you could still be running your operation right now, right?
I'm sure I would be, to be honest. And October 5th, 2023, I had 29 federal agents raiding my home. 8 of them had AR rifles, and I was putting my son in, my wife's car, and it was a life-changing moment, and it was the best and worst day of my life. Yeah, truly. I mean, because I sit in front of you today, a 100 times better person, a better man, a better wife, a better, father,
better husband, not wife.
Oh yeah, that'd be bad, wouldn't it? A better father,
unless something else happened in prison. That
no, definitely not. I didn't drop the soap. But the truth is, I swear to you, there was no monetary value for money for me. It was like, I had no concept of what money really meant to me, or what the value was of it. It was, I made so much of it. All I wanted to do was continue to make more. And I don't even know why.
Tell me I think you told me the Monaco story the last time you were here. Right. Tell me one of the craziest stories that you had this crazy life, right? You were flying to Vegas every week with millions of dollars in your pocket that you were going there to wash, basically. Sure.
I mean,
you were gambling nonstop yourself. You had a huge gambling addiction, which you've talked about this.
Big time. I was a degenerate times 1,000, but I love dopamine rush. I love the action. I was raised in a family where we played Yahtzee. My grandparents took me to the racetrack at 10, 12 years old every other weekend. I worked at the racetrack when I was 16. I was running a business at 16 when my parents got divorced, and I was a bookmaker, and I was running poker games out of my house. And so all of that just kept growing. And then eventually, when I was a commodity broker at 20 years old, I saw an opportunity. I saw these guys, Wolf of Wall Street type people, making tons of money, who were doing cocaine, hookers, and all these things, gambling. And I wasn't partaking in any of that except for the gambling. That was my vice, right? So I already had a baby, and, was getting married. So I saw the opportunity, and I just went to Costa Rica, built a website, and I just saw, okay, I'll take these 40, 50 employees that we had at that time, ended up being like 400 later, and I'll just have these guys betting with me, because they're blowing so much money. They're driving Ferraris, and they're 25-year-old kids making $700,000 a year. This is 30 years ago. Yeah. Which is equivalent to probably 4 or 5 million now, right? So, and that's exactly what I did. And I started making more money taking bets than I ever did trading
commodity trading. Yeah.
And I loved it. So imagine we all chase a purpose in life, right? I mean, if you could find out what your purpose and your meaning are as early as you possibly can, that's all I'm trying to teach my kids. If you could figure that out, you're hitting a home run, because now you're going to run into the light, and it's the best version or light of yourself. For me, it was just chasing money, a validation. I didn't really even know why. I just thought, okay, I'm young. I go make money. I give my kids a better life, and I get to do what I want. And I'm feeding my dopamine rush of gambling.
Yeah. It's interesting, Matt. I remember in our first conversation where you were talking a lot about money and the need to make money. And I remember I asked you something that came with a little judgment, and I loved your answer, which I said, wow, it's really all about, why was it all so much about money? And you said something, you said basically, you never understand why you have something like you never understand why it's so important to you to make money unless you actually didn't have it when you were younger, right?
Right. When the rug is pulled
Yeah.
from your lifestyle,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you have, see, for me, I had a taste of money young, and I didn't make it, but my parents did,
Mhm.
and we had this amazing life, and
And then
it was gone. And
Yeah.
then when it's gone, now it's like, holy shit, I never wanted to feel that again.
Yeah.
Ever.
I remember you saying this.
Right?
And I was like, yeah, I should. Yeah.
You know?
It was a reminder for me that I should never judge according to my own experiences, but try to understand what other
they're
people's
thinking or
experiences
why.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the problem for me is, okay, if you truly want to be happy,
Mhm.
you want to do things you have passion for. So my passion was, I love sports. I always have. I played them all. I'm a very athletic guy. I love competition. And then I love gambling. So I couldn't beat it doing it because I was terrible at it.
Mhm.
You know, betting myself and gambling, you just lose to bookies. So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just do something I love and be the bookie
Mhm.
and make the money?
Right.
And I still get this fun out of, you know, and then I did that, but then I also was getting high on my own supply. You know, I was the drug dealer doing all the cocaine basically in gambling life.
Right.
So
At one point, you were. I remember the story that you doubled down on a bet, and it was the fine, right? It was
well, in 2023,
you bet mainly in sports, right? Let's start with that.
yeah. So
Right.
going back to, you asked me a crazy story. I'll
Yeah.
give you two of them.
Okay.
The first one is in 2023, the Super Bowl. It was February. The Chiefs played the Eagles, and it's the biggest bet I ever made in my life. I bet $4.2 million on the Kansas City Chiefs to win. I was in the Bahamas at the Atlantis. Actually, if you go to my website, MathewBowyer.com, I put pictures of the tickets because a lot of people say, oh, this guy's full of shit. So I got tired of that because my numbers are so crazy that it sounds like I'm just full of hot air. So what I did is I put all of it on my website.
Good
Go
for
look
you.
at, go see
Good
it
for
yourself.
you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm full of shit.
Yeah.
Because it is crazy. Who bets $4.2 million on a
Yeah.
freaking 3-hour football game? Me. I'm that crazy man. So at halftime, Patrick Mahomes was injured, or looked to be very injured. It was hobbled off the field. They were down by like 12 or 14, whatever the number was. And I put all the money I could on it in Atlantis. I think it was 1.5 million in cash there, or chips. And then I bet through bookies throughout the country because, you know, I wanted to bet more because that's my appetite. And I got every dollar I could down. And then at halftime, I could only bet, I had no more money there. So I called other bookies and I bet 400,000 again. And it looked like Chad Henne, who's the backup quarterback, was coming in. And people asked me, like, why would you bet more? And
Now that it looks like you might actually lose this, why are you betting more?
And I was losing, and it looked really bad.
Right.
And truth be told, the logic was simple. I'm going to be in big, deep shit trouble, and I'm a gambler. So you just throw more at a fire. You just hope it turns around. Well, in this case, it did. Rarely does that. The Chiefs came back out. He played Patrick Mahomes magic. They ended up winning the game barely. And I won $4.6 million.
Shit.
But the sad thing is, by the time I got home, I lost like $1.5 million in the casino.
Because you went to a casino right after?
No, I was in the casino. I was in
Okay, yeah,
Atlantis.
right. You're in that,
So before I even got home, I lost everything I made on the game at the casino. I already lost and more, like 300,000 more. All the bookies that I bet with that week, I ended up going home and I collected literally like $1.5 million of all this money. That's it. So all of this risk and all this craziness, it was like $1 million something in my pocket, which I probably blew the next week anyway and more.
Right.
So the taste was there, but you never really get what you're, you know, what you're aiming for, so to speak. It's just a chase of validation that I've been doing my whole life. And then
a chase of validation.
that's it. It's all I chased was validation, affirmation of maybe because of what happened when I was young with my family, losing everything and just wanting to make more and more money. I don't really understand like what I was searching for. I had everything. My wife is stunningly beautiful. She's the best human being I've ever met in the world, on the earth. I mean, literally, and she's my wife. I have 5 amazing, healthy children. I had 2 Bentleys, a Rolls Royce, a G-Wagon, private jet every 2 weeks, $2-3 million on a plane to a villa that's 16,000 square feet with 4 butlers. My son was 2 years old. He's been on 44 private jet flights in the first 2 years of his life. We've been to every country you can imagine. Monaco, gambling with Russian oligarchs. I mean, you name it. We've done all of this. And I still wasn't happy. So it's like, what are you chasing? And when I went to prison and I'm walking a track, for hours, 12 miles a day. I walked every day, at least 12 miles.
Wow.
I was like, what are you looking for? And I finally got the answer, truly. And it's not money. It's just peace, time, health, and family. Those are what matter the most. And it took me 50 years to figure that out, of all these wild and crazy moments. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's made me who I am today. But it's all of that compiled in 5 months of walking a track of like, what are you looking for? And it's amazing, because I have the least amount of money I've had in 30 years of my life right now, literally since I was probably 20 years old. Actually, I have the least amount of money I've ever had. I owe United States government $10 million right now.
Mm-hmm. You still owe the government?
Oh, yeah.
So any money you make will have to go to the government?
I'm going to have to pay a portion towards my debt, of course.
Shit.
But
But you're also owed like $44 million or something.
But I can't collect it. It's illegal. Right. They told me they'll lock me up for that.
Which makes no sense to me again, because if you can collect it, then you can pay the $10 million and you can go on with your life.
How about this? I had a guy who owed me money. Through my attorney, we asked the prosecution if, I think I told you this, if the wire transfer can go directly to the IRS.
Yeah.
They said, absolutely not. It's illicit funds. You cannot do that. It's another crime, and no chance you can do that. Mm-hmm. So I have to go make 20 million to make 10, because taxes, to pay them off. So I got to make $20 million to make 10 to pay them off, just to pay the debt, not to mention my lifestyle and my family and everything else.
Which, if there's anyone out there that I think can get there, is you. It's probably you.
Well, I appreciate that. I have zero doubt that I will pay every dollar I owe. Zero. I mean, truly.
Yeah, I have zero doubt.
I truly believe that I will make more money in the next 10 years than I made the first 51 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I have zero to work with. I mean,
I want to talk to you about poly markets. There's still a lot.
Kalshi.
Yes, Kalshi and I mean about prediction markets, poly market and Kalshi. But I also want to explain to our viewers real quick the Shohei Ohtani of it all, if you can, if you may.
Yeah. So in 2021, I was really probably closer to my peak of my career. I had a lot of major athletes and celebrities betting with me. I obviously kept anonymity as much as I could, because that's how I built my business even bigger. And as you know, as your network grows, you get referred more and more people in whatever business you're in, right? Because you provide a good service. So more athletes, more celebrities are coming my way. I played golf with Travis Kelce and Charles Barkley, and I mean, Jim McMahon. I can go on and on. If you look at my website, you'll see the pictures of it, because it's all true. Unless I AI'd these pictures. But I was in the American Century Championship, which is a golf tournament in Edgewood, in Tahoe, where it's all celebrities. And you cannot get in this tournament unless you're a professional athlete or celebrity, or
you pay a shit ton
gambler.
of money.
No.
Oh, or a massive gambler.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't even let you buy your way in.
Oh, wow.
And so obviously I was bringing $2 million to Tahoe. So I got to choose. And based on how much money you bring, you choose what celebrities you play with. And I chose Barkley the first time because I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
So
my husband loves him too.
He's a great guy, a person too. So moral of the story is, all of these athletes, celebrities were coming to me more and more. And as I grew my business, I stumbled upon some Angels baseball players that I became friendly with and played golf with and bet with me, etc. And then fast forward 2021, I go to an Angels baseball game. And I was invited to their poker game in not their hotel, in the hotel they're staying at, which was in San Diego that night. They played the Padres. And I go to this poker game and I meet Ippei Mizuhara, the interpreter of Shohei Ohtani. And
the interpreters, again, for people who don't know, he was Shohei Ohtani doesn't speak English fluently. And this is a guy who was with him all the time, right?
Best friends.
Night and day, they were best friends. Yeah,
like truly best friends, and always together.
Right.
And so we're playing poker, Texas Hold'em, and I'm not really a poker guy, actually, because it takes too much time and I don't have the patience for it. But clearly, I'm there for a reason. It's marketing, right? I also enjoy people, so socially, whatever. But I'm hoping to get more athletes and more people to gamble with me, frankly, and just having a good time. So I meet Ippei. Well, I should say a great friend of mine who was an agent meets Ippei, and we all start talking. And then he notices he's betting on his phone. So my friend says, Matt does that. And then that's where it all started. So he got a tiny account. I gave him an $8,000 credit line, $1,000 a game. And that was blown up within 2 days. And then I extended it to 40 and then, to 100 and then 5, he made payments, of course, showed proof of funds by paying. And I just continued to give him what he asked me for.
And the most amount in credit that he got at the end was like $3 million, right? It went, right?
Oh, no, far more than that.
Oh, more than that. Sorry. Tell me.
24 million.
24 million. That is great.
In fact, that's what he owed me the day I was raided by the feds, 24 million to this day.
Which he never paid.
No, because he's in prison now, which they found
all of it was Shohei Ohtani's money.
Yeah, every wire transfer, 16.2 million, came from Shohei Ohtani's Bank of America bank account.
Wow. And I've asked you this question. I'm going to ask you again. A lot of people think that Shohei Ohtani was the one actually betting.
Sure.
But what do you think?
Well, no matter what I say, they're going to always, because I've argued this for almost 3 years now, they're going to have their belief. The truth is there's only two people that know. It's Ippei Mizuhara and Shohei Ohtani. But I believe I'm the next closest human being to this. Based on what I believe, I think Shohei Ohtani did not gamble. But I just believe he knew, and I believe he sent a wire or access or gave him accountability to allow him to wire.
And why would he do that?
They're best friends. I don't think and this is all perception and me just truly saying my beliefs. I don't have any proof of the conversations they had or anything.
Of course, yeah.
But they were so close and so together, I believe, because I'm a gambler, right? So I know exactly what Ippei Mizuhara was feeling like. He was trying to win the money back, right? And when me and my friends gambled together, when I was gambling, we would hey, let's all bet the Duke versus whoever. And we'd all bet it. Some for $400,000 and some for $4,000 because it all depends on, it's all relative to your money. And I believe that Shohei Ohtani wasn't really, because he's not a gambler. I believe he was like, oh, okay, whatever. You need some help. Just pay me. We'll work it out later. And I believe that Ippei took that and ran with it to, not only the 100-yard marker, but past it. And I believe because if you took a gambler, and I know this, and you give them access to money that they shouldn't, 9 out of 10 of them are going to go deep into that rabbit hole. The problem no, not the problem. The good thing is most people don't have access to money. They can't, they'll steal, they'll do things, but there's only so much you could take. This poor guy had access to his bank account. Right.
Of Shohei's bank account. Yeah. Millions and millions and millions.
Yeah. So
what's his contract? Shohei Ohtani, how much money does he make a year?
Well, it's $700 million. Okay.
But so 24 million is not that much.
Not only that.
Compared to how much money
okay. You know what he makes in endorsements? It's more than that.
Yeah.
So, he's going to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani will be a billionaire.
So there is a chance that this money was coming out of his account and he perhaps didn't even notice that this was happening.
Yeah. The biggest argument people make, which I can't even argue is, and I agree with this, this happened over a year and a half. It wasn't like if I tapped into your bank account right now, we're on a podcast and somebody's out there tapping in and they steal all your money, you're going to notice it probably within, 24 hours or a week, whatever. But this is a year and a half of constant $500,000, $1 million being taken out of your account. So it's very hard to explain that. Yeah. Now, I know Shohei Ohtani is, in my opinion, he's the best athlete to ever walk the face of the earth in baseball by a million miles. And I know he's so driven. They've shown everything about him. I think he's truly amazing. And I don't believe he's a person that is normal, because you can't be that good and be normal. I believe, he's so focused. But I just don't see how you can't see one bank statement or have a financial advisor or somebody to oversee that much money over that long. Right.
The problem is if he ever admitted that he knew, that can get him in trouble and can be the end of his career, which means a lot of lost money for a lot of people, including Los Padres. And no, he plays, with the Dodgers. Sorry.
Angels. Let's
erase that so I don't sound like an idiot.
No, but Angels, Dodgers, MLB, all the endorsements, he's great for everybody involved. And I get that, but he wouldn't lose his career unless he was making the bets, but he could get in trouble for allowing money to be wired to an illegal bookmaker, which would taint his career. And I'm so happy that it's not tainted, because truly what we're watching is something we probably, I don't think we'll ever see. That's for sure. Maybe my 5-year-old might see something, a star of this caliber, but I don't see it ever happening again.
Yeah, it was a crazy freaking case, and it was partly why you became everybody wanted to talk to you and interview you because if anyone was as close to that, like you said, it was the two of them and then it was you who
For
knew
sure.
as much as possible about that case. Okay, so this all leads us back to you had to tell your roommates,
Yes.
as I call them,
My roomies.
that you were collaborating,
Correct.
that you had cooperated with federal
With the
government.
feds, which by the way, in prison, you're a rat if you speak to a federal
it's like the
government.
worst. It's like
No matter what.
being a rat or a pedophile. Those are the worst.
And they're
right?
almost equivalent, sadly.
Yeah.
I'm not defending myself in a sense of, to me, a pedophile is the most disgusting person on the earth. But a rat is a rat. Like when I was raised, you don't snitch on people. You don't, my brothers used to punch me or do things and you don't tattletale. I have 3 brothers. So I was raised in that environment. I also have been a person that dealt with some mob people when I was in my business. And if you notice, nobody in my case got in trouble, not one agent, no nothing. But I can't hide behind the fact that I did speak to the federal government in regards to the casinos. Now, to defend myself in regards to Ippei Mizuhara, it's true. I did speak to the government. We did do a proffer and go in there. And this is what happened. I was raided in October. And in January, Tisha Thompson from ESPN, this is a fact, wrote me a letter and then showed up at my house about taking this story and going public with it. And her story was wrong. It was $4.5 million. The numbers were wrong. Everything was wrong about it. So my attorneys advised me to let's sit down with her and let her tell us what she knows. Because let's find out what she's about to try to say to the world. We knew that was a problem because she sat us down in my home, in my backyard, and we heard her say, and she had a lot of good facts, a lot of facts that were true. Some were off. So we didn't say yay or nay. We just let her talk. And we said, we'll get back to you. We immediately chose, because of my attorney's advice, to go tell the federal government, because hearing it from us is a lot better than hearing it on SportsCenter, which was about to occur. So if that makes me a rat, then I'm a rat, because that's exactly what happened. Right. And sadly, as much as I try to explain this, and I still do, because I hate being called a rat, but technically I am. I spoke to our federal government. I got to own it, right? I don't like it. I don't feel like I'm not going to go snitch on people, but I get it in my comment section. People call me a rat, a snitch all the time. Then if that's what it is what it is. But moral of the story is it was coming out. And so it's better for me. And I did get credit for it. I probably would have did 3 to 5 years in prison. So in hindsight, it saved me. It truly did. That's a fact. Listen, everybody almost rats nowadays.
Oh, Matt, I'm not judging you.
Yeah.
I think I would have done. I don't think you owe people that much explanation.
Well,
I think
it's more guilt on me because I was raised properly, and thank you for saying that, but it does bother me. But
I think people who call you, what about if you're ratting on somebody that's actually harming people outside, you're actually saving the people that person is harming by putting them behind bars. In this case, you cooperated with the feds in terms of what was happening at the casinos, which I'm happy you did because it's outrageous and it shouldn't be happening. And in this Shohei Ohtani case, it was going to come out regardless.
Sure.
And if you have a chance to get a better
outcome
for yourself, I would have certainly done the same thing.
In prison,
I know that's in the prison.
Going back to the situation. Once they said, this is how it went down, and I described this in my book, they said, all right, well, we're going to have to talk to our main rep. His name was Bugsy, who was 6'4", 260-pound, pendulum tattoo on his stomach. Tattoos everywhere. Very intimidating man. The most intimidating guy, in my opinion, in Lompoc. And he's 33-year-old, just a beast of a man, right? And so I go to Chow for the first night. So I checked in at 10. By the time I got over to the camp, it was like 12:30. By the time I unraveled all this stuff, it was probably like 2. So now I'm like, okay, Chow's at 4:45, 5 o'clock. So Chow is where I have to sit with the Woods and be basically evaluated to see if I'm welcome in their car. So I'm like, this is overwhelming. First day of prison, right? So I get to the Chow and I get my little tray of garbage. We go sit down at the Woods table because in Chow, every table is segregated, right? And the independent table is the first table by where you get your food. And you could see that most of the independent guys, there's a lot of normal white collar guys who choose. You could choose just to run independent, which is like, look, I just don't want to be part of any car race. I'm just going to keep my head down and be quiet and do what I was advised to do, which is just almost be antisocial. And then there's guys in there who are rats, they're not allowed in the car, and all different races, blacks, it doesn't matter because it's independent. So I see that table and I'm like, well, okay, I don't want to be there because it's very obvious that they're looked down upon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here I am, an alpha male. I own a jiu-jitsu studio. I'll fight anyone. I'm not, I don't want to get in fights. I'm a father or whatever, but I'm not afraid of that. I also have respect. You know, I built a big business. I built my business on people respecting me. And I wanted to come into prison and be respected as I give respect. But I already felt like I was, you know, dropping down a little. So I go sit down at this table and I sit next to him, and it's like, just like a movie. You know, I'm sitting next to this big guy and he's slowly eating and, you know, staring at me, and everyone's staring. Like, instead of them having their own conversation, I have 12 eyes on me. Wow. Or 12 guys' eyes on me. So 24 eyes. And I'm just, you feel like you're like a lights on you, and everyone, they're listening to everything I say. And I explain myself again, as I just did with you. And he's like, okay. And he asked more questions. And then that was it. I didn't really eat much. I walk out, and by the time I got to the bus, because they have a school bus, a white school bus that goes up to the North Camp, because there's 3 dorms. And he was in the North Camp, Bugsy. He walked me out and said, look, I like you. I respect you, but you can't run in our car. Oof. And I was just like deflating, you know, because now I'm thinking, shit, I have all this stuff I got to give back, number one. Number two, I'm now a bitch and a rat in every person's mind here in this camp, and I just got here. Number 3, I have a new challenge. How do I earn back respect and let these guys know I'm not this, you know, bitch that they think I am? Because I'm also like trying to avoid altercation, but I'm definitely not going to just stand for people, you know, giving me, you know, shit per se, or putting me down in front of other people or whatever. So I don't know what that means. You know, I'm just like, oh my God. So it's like 6 o'clock now, whatever, get to my bunk. I don't really discuss it with Mickey because he's a 76-year-old man who's running in the Jewish car, and he stays out of all of this type of stuff. And I'm just sitting there by myself, day one. And I'm like, I just want to cry. You know, I'm just like, wow, this is overwhelming. I'm staring at my locker. Everyone's doing their thing. And count comes at 10 o'clock. I lay down on my bunk. I'm just staring. And I'm like, this is night 1. You know, it's just like, I can't sleep. Like 2:30 finally rolls around after the, you know, guys come by, the guards, and I finally fall asleep. And I wake up at like 4, sleep like 2 hours. And I'm just like, well, what am I doing here? Like, this is like the first moment of my life. I'm like, I got to really, like, I had a poor me, like victim mentality for like a little bit, you know. That's not my mindset. So I talked to myself and I said, you know what, who the fuck you think you are? You've overcome 100,000 things that are much more adversity than this. Be a fucking man. Just be yourself. You don't need to fucking let anybody get in your head. So I just like had to, you know, pep talk myself. So day 2, I call my wife because I couldn't call her first night. And I get through the day and I call her as like, I'll never forget it. It was like maybe 7 at night after chow again. And I'm now in the independent car and no one's talking to me, and I'm outcasted a little bit in my own way. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal, but, and I call her and I hear her voice, and I'm on a prison phone, right? There's 5 phones. You're literally stacked next to each other. Everyone's loud. And she's like, have you ever seen the movie American Sniper?
Yes, but many years ago.
Okay. So Bradley Cooper is literally in the middle of a war zone. He's calling his wife.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember, the phone hangs up and she's like calling his name and she's crying, and, you know, she has no idea what's happening to him. Like, I couldn't even speak because I was crying, but I couldn't cry. I'm in prison. Here I am, like this tough guy. I got to be tough. I'm independent. I'm a rat bitch in my own mind. Like, these guys think that. And I'm calling my wife. I hear her voice and I'm missing her so much because it's like, you want to, like, you know, you just want to tell her what you're going through. Yeah. But I also don't want to freak her out. I'm in fucking prison day 1. You think I'm going to tell her all this shit? Fuck no. She's already worried that I'm okay. Yeah. So I can't talk. I literally can't talk. And I have no problems talking. You could tell. And I'm like, and she's calling me, Matt, like, and I'm like, I can't even speak. So it took me like what seemed like 10 minutes was probably like, I don't know, 14 seconds to speak. And then I was telling her, yeah, everything's okay. But she could tell in my voice, I'm like fighting it. And I was just like, okay. And then I had to do that thing in my head where you have to talk to yourself like, all right, don't be a little baby, a little bitch. It's like literally just talking yourself off the ledge. And then I rallied, had a conversation with her. And then I went back to my bunk and I just said to myself, all right, enough. That's it. No more victim mentality in your head. And that was it. I made a decision.
Huh. But you stayed with the independents the whole time? You
The
were never
entire time.
allowed into the
Never
woods?
was allowed in the car. Now, fast forward, 5 months later, I made a comment on the soft white underbelly in my arrogant self. I said, I'll be
That's a YouTube podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. And I said on his podcast, I went on his podcast the day before I went in. And I said, I'll be running that prison. And I got a lot of flack for that. But I did. I ran it. And what I mean by run it, I ran it the way I mean, not as a gangster. Mm-hmm. I ran it successfully by defining success for me. So in the 5th month, by month 5, I had a bunkie doing my job, making me peanut butter lattes, making my bed, bringing me waters out to the pickleball courts in my workout. I would work out for 5 hours a day, 3 hours of pickleball, lift weights, walk 12 miles.
It's so funny to me that there's actual pickleball courts there. I remember you
played every day.
It's crazy.
Every day. And then I ate chicken. I ate real food because they were bringing it all in. I was getting stuff from Amazon, sleep gummies, NyQuil, whatever I wanted for me to be successful. And so when I say I was running the prison, some guys run it like they're gangsters. A real gangster is a father, is a husband. That's what I value. A guy who pays taxes and doesn't get in prison. Mm-hmm. So my goal was to be a gangster back home. Mm-hmm. So I did everything I could to live as comfortably as possible, gain respect from everybody. So on the very last day when I left, we bought the Habit. We had the Habit brought in, the burger stand.
Yeah, the burgers. Yeah.
So we had 45 burgers and fries. And I had guys coming up to me. They all read my book. They told me, I can't wait to see what you do afterwards. You have made such an impression on me. And I had all these guys come up to me and I was like, holy shit, man. It gives me goosebumps talking about it. I didn't even know. I would be kind to everybody and be myself. And I would have deep conversations with people that would come up to me and if I could help them in any way, because I've experienced so much in my life. And I just started moving people and I didn't realize it until I was leaving. And they're like, can I call you? Can I write a letter? Can I do this? And, we're not supposed to talk to the felons and all this stuff. But I was so moved by the conversations of people leaving. When I actually left, I was like, there's a part of this I'm going to miss. Mm-hmm. Truly.
Yeah.
And I was shocked, Yeah. I mean, I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there.
Of course.
And when I met my wife at the door, wow. I mean, you talk about emotion. I bawled and that's when I was crying the most.
So, but when you say you ran the prison and you were able to get this very privileged lifestyle inside compared to others, but it was because you had the money and you were able to afford it, right? Or was there any skills that you used?
No, there were skills, but yes, the money, listen, I'm not going to sit here and claim I did anything to earn the money to pay for that. That $500 a month that I was paying was beyond valuable.
Right.
Yes. I'm not going to lie to you. I would have been the guy hustling and probably making someone's bunk or doing whatever if I had to. I'm not afraid. By the way, I did the job for the first 2 months. I want to answer that. You mentioned that earlier. Because I was independent and because I didn't want anyone to think I was a privileged white boy, I did that job and I did it better than anyone. I cleaned that bathroom for 2 months better than anyone ever did. You can ask anyone who was in there. They're like, man, because I worked my ass off because I've always been a hard worker. And I, if I do something, I do it right. I don't care. I'm cleaning shit toilets. I didn't give a shit. I did it. And so they respected me. I started gaining respect in my own ways, right? And I knew just being myself, I would. And then I realized after 2 months, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. So, but I had to show that I'm not a privileged white collar guy. Yeah. By the end there were some people that hated me too. Envy in prison is drastically, it is so rampant. It's not even funny. I would say out of 320 guys, I probably had 150 that I had relationships with. They truly were almost friends. And then the other 150 hated me because they wouldn't talk to me because I was a bitch or a rat, or they were so jealous of what I was doing because I created, as I explained earlier, this little concierge service. Mm-hmm. We were getting food that they'd never seen. And I had a guy, his name is Shadow. I swear to you, and he would come on this podcast if he was allowed to. He's still in prison. He said, Matt, he was a homie, the leader of the reps of the homie. And he said, Matt, I just came from the medium and the low. I've been down 14 years. I've never seen anyone do prison like you. I watched it. I respect you so much. Yeah. This is a guy, he said, we would have loved to have you in our car.
Wow.
Yeah, that's truly. Amazing. And it made me feel so good because I was like, that's really cool. You know, like this is a bad motherfucker. Like I wouldn't want to fight this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have no doubt. I mean, this is exactly why I think you're going to succeed with whatever you do. Like, I have no doubt.
Oh, I appreciate it. I mean, people say I'm cocky, I'm arrogant, but I am actually a little bit, right? But
I think humility is overrated. I think if you're good at something, you should say it.
You know, truth be told, I'm so grateful. Like I really am. I treat people with respect, but if you don't have like a little bit of arrogance or confidence in yourself that's a little higher than normal, you'll never be ultra successful in anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if you watch the UFC fights.
Some, yeah.
Okay. Did you watch the ones that just occurred?
One, no,
okay.
Sorry.
So the reason I mention this is the guy, Taporia, the main fight, he was undefeated, champion. He's won at all levels. He's never lost. He went in the fight and he got his ass beat bad. But he was a warrior, just kept fighting and fighting. His orbital got smashed in. Oof. It was one of the most vicious fights I've seen. But he just kept coming and coming. And then after the fight's over, everyone was so happy he lost. Truly. And I get it because he was very arrogant. A little too much. So I knew that was coming. But I was like, you know what? That's why he was there. I mean, there is a point where you should have some grace and, you know, you don't just walk around and say, I'm better than everyone.
No.
I get that.
Definitely not.
He went a little overboard, but to be that successful, you got to believe that you can do anything.
Yeah. And it's pretty amazing that you can build an organization like you did, an operation like you did, and then that you can go into prison and create a space for yourself where you're seen as sort of a successful person that's created something that's no one has ever done. And
sure.
Of course you come out and you want to talk about what you did in there. I think, and you should.
I mean, I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of who I am. You know,
it's not also not how we led this conversation. I think you also are very focused on the real learnings that you had in prison, right?
For sure.
Which is how it transformed you and what you want to do now that you're out, which leads me to the perfect question, which is, what are you working on right now? How is it being back? You've been out for how long, Matt? 2 months?
3 months.
3 months,
yeah.
Okay.
But only a month home. So remember, I was at a halfway house for literally about a month, which was very interesting. Two of my roommates, as you call them, was Chubby Loco, who 18 years in a Victorville penitentiary, Mexican mafia. He has fucked the feds across his face. Shit. And then my other roommate, roomie.
Is that guy out?
No, they're still in the halfway house.
Oh, those are the ones who are in the halfway house.
These two gentlemen were my roomies. Yeah. And I went from a camp to some serious criminals. I mean, this guy shot multiple people, and this is in my halfway house.
Right.
So I was like, okay. But I know how to talk to people and respect people. So like, we got along great. In fact, they were awesome. And I wish them the best. They want me to help them, you know, and getting going in their life. And I'm happy to help people like this. I truly am. You know, it actually feels good. But where I'm going with this is I was there a month, and then a month on the ankle monitor, and then now a month home. Mm-hmm. So 3 months out, and I'm on probation for 2 years, which is, you know, yesterday I had to go take my computer and my phone down to the United States government office, courthouse, and they ran through it to make sure I'm not gambling or running in my business. And I'm on a monitoring program where they could see every text, every phone call. Tell my wife, don't send me any nudes, because they'll be very happy. But all of that, I'm monitored I don't do anything wrong, so I don't care. And, you know, I have some requirements. I can't travel and whatever. The point is, I'm so much more happy to be in this predicament than any predicament I've been in a long time. And I ate some humble pie. There's no doubt. But in that process, I wrote a book, and I journaled the whole time in prison, and I finished it. And I'm about to release it in about 3 weeks. I'm doing the photo shoot on Friday.
And it's called?
Controlled Chaos.
Controlled Chaos. Yeah.
Because that's really been my life. And it's true. And I realize that in my self-reflection, and that I describe everything I've just told you today and more in more detail. And I think it's a great book because it's therapeutic to see what a person goes through at all forms of prison, you
Yeah.
know, halfway house, just all the feelings in it.
Right.
You know, I mean, literally, there's a lot of emotions involved, especially as a father of 5 and et cetera. But I describe all that. But in the meantime, I'm going to be starting a podcast. I'm going to call it The Black Book.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Congrats. Welcome to the podcast world.
So I'm excited about that because I think you're amazing, and I'll learn from you and ask questions. And I'm excited to do that.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be great at it.
I'm very excited to say
Black
that.
Book,
Thank you.
great.
I have a documentary that I filmed already, but I'm having some issues with MLB and Dodgers kind of blocking me in that category. They don't want this story out. They want it to go away.
Yeah.
But scripted, I have a lot of opportunities on the scripted side for a movie and even a series, so a doc series.
That's great.
So a lot of good things.
So you say that you've got the 5-5-5 rule, right?
Yes.
Which can also apply to your goals in the future.
Oh, definitely. And it is.
Yeah. Let's go straight to you. Actually, 5-5 doesn't work because I don't want to see you in 5 years. But how do you see yourself in, let's say 5 years?
5 years, I see myself having a home in Florida and a home in California and traveling back and forth to save, because I have made so much successful moves that I'm paying less in state tax.
Well, what's your business?
Well, I'm building a community right now. So I see myself as public speaking, online coaching, and just really having a force of people that I can help in their life and being paid to do so.
That's
because everything I've done is for me to win, somebody's on the other side losing a bet, losing in trading commodities. It's always losing. Finally, this is where I got the self-reflection in prison. It's win-win. I'm finding purpose where I provide a value, I provide a service, and I get more out of giving them, and I get paid for it. So they win, I win. Yeah, I make them more money. I make them a better wife, husband, father, whatever, and I get paid.
Right. How are you dealing with your addiction?
Great, because if I do gamble, I'm going to prison. So I have the best
deterrent.
True.
Yes.
But the issue will be in 2 years.
Once you're not on probation.
When I'm allowed
anymore.
to gamble. And my wife, I would never risk my marriage. So she's definitely not on board for me gambling at the moment. And we've discussed it thoroughly. I have lost I'm going to say, I haven't lost the addiction. That never goes away. But I've lost the desire drastically because of all this. And I'm finding the dopamine rush in the rebuild, and just where I'm going with my future. And also being just more at peace. Yeah. So
that's great. Poly markets of it all. I'm like, why do I keep on calling it poly market? Prediction markets of it all, which is not considered gambling,
right.
But it is very much. What do you think of them? And is that you could be if you wanted to, right?
I could probably do that now legally.
Right.
It's gambling though.
Of course it's gambling.
Of course. It's just another way around it.
Yeah. And we're trying to.
So I won't do it because I don't want to rock my world with my probation officer and my wife would be uncomfortable. So I'm going to wait to I'm not going to say never, but in 2 years from now, when I have the opportunities, I may consider doing that. And I don't mean betting sports. I mean, just the whole prediction part of it, because I'll tell you why. This is what's different. And it's interesting. It's really taken off while I was in prison. Before let's say that you and I are watching March Madness and you like Duke and I like Arizona State. And I'm like, there's no way Duke's going to make it to the finals. Well, in sports betting, I have to bet Duke -8 or Duke +8 or Arizona State against them, right? With the spread. But now on a prediction market, you could say, you know what? Duke's just not going to make it to the finals. And you could buy shares of that alone. It's still gambling. I'm not saying it's not, but it's much easier to do these type of things than it is to pick out who's going to win a game by a certain amount of points. So I feel that there's a better opportunity for people to make money if they do more homework and research and actually understand what they're doing. And I more than anyone know that market because I traded commodities clearly, and I've been on every side of the gambling world. So predicting what may or may not happen and laying the odds, so being the house, right, is kind of what you can do now by saying, I don't believe this team is going to go, Right. So.
Yeah. Are you concerned at all about the insider information? I mean, that's
that's a problem, period, on everything.
Everything. But
did you hear what happened?
Particularly when you were allowed to bet on whether wars are going to happen or when wars are going to start or end.
Well, let's talk about this. You don't know this because you didn't watch the UFC fights. There was a tweet that was taken down by Daniel Cormier. Do you know who that is?
No.
So Daniel Cormier is Joe Rogan's partner, let's call it, at the UFC fights, announcer.
Oh, the announcer.
Okay, used to be a fighter.
Yeah.
He's known to be a very honest guy.
Yeah.
And apparently, Eric Trump, there's proof of it, that was tweeted, had text or DM'd Daniel Cormier saying, hey, did you hear about this?
I read about it,
okay.
Yes, but say it.
Okay, that, hey, are any of these fighters injured?
Right.
Is there anything that might be rigged?
Which apparently means that he was trying to get insider information so he could bet and make a ton of money on one of these prediction markets about who was going to win that night or not win.
He even pushed so far to say, I like this particular fighter. Yeah. And then you could see by the text that Cormier continued to bat it down and say, I want no part of that, like da-da-da. And long story short, then Cormier, put it up on his Twitter and then instantly was probably called and it was down and gone. Real quick. And then I saw a video of him being interviewed and it's very obvious he's uncomfortable and he's like, oh, no, that's all AI. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that, but I hate judging people anymore because I know what it feels like to be judged for something. I did do a lot of things, but things I didn't do. Yeah. So it's really hard for me to judge people anymore. I'm very cautious of judgment, but I'm entitled to an opinion.
Is this though? Yes, insider information is a real problem. I think I was reading somewhere where it was like, there are some people who have like a 98% success rate on their predictions, which is an impossibility. So it's obvious that they're running with insider information.
Right.
The problem is when it's already bad in sports because it becomes an unfair, you're watching something that isn't real.
The integrity is gone.
The integrity is gone, yeah. But it's even worse when you're predicting on, when heads of state are going to be taken out or wars or all of that, because we're talking about real life consequences here.
Right.
But do you see yourself, because it is such a sort of new world that is opening up, and so it's like billions of dollars already a day that these markets are making. Do you see at all a world in which you'd go as in create a business from these prediction markets that are right now completely legal?
I mean, creating a business, I don't think they'll ever allow a regular Joe, so to speak. If you notice with DraftKings and FanDuel, I mean, these are conglomerate corporations. You and I could still never go, even in a legal state, go open a sports betting operation. Kalshi and Polymarket, I don't know enough details of how they were able to form all this and how long it'll go.
Right, but can it be a business where you're like advising people on how to
no
bet
doubt.
Or something like
I've
ancillary?
Already thought of that, to be honest. I've thought of this. I could easily run a live streaming videos on YouTube and all kinds of platforms where it's on my computer and I'm there actually doing some of these things, investments, let's call it, because it's not gambling. Technically, which is bullshit.
It's bullshit.
But investing and buying shares and advising people, sure. I'm not against any of that because number one, even though it's gambling, I would be honest about it. It is gambling. I mean, I would say it. But if you can do that, if I could do that and I could be successful at it and help others, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
You have a problem.
You just have to be careful because you have a real addiction. So you have to be careful not to end up.
Yeah, my biggest problem is that I'll make excuses and I'll be good at it. And then if it starts to go sideways and my addiction gets involved, then I'll make excuses to why it went sideways.
Yeah.
So owning that. My wife may be not okay with it. And if that's the case, I won't argue with her. She's a unicorn and she's done everything possible to prove that and her loyalty. So if it makes her unsafe, her keyword is unsafe, which I hate. So smart.
It's very smart.
Yeah. If she says she's unsafe, then it won't even be a conversation. Yeah. It's over. I lost.
Yeah. Good. Matt, it was so great to have you back. I was really curious about your time in prison. I'm really glad to hear how much it's changed you. And I have no doubt that you're going to pay the government back, and then you're going to go back to even a much better place than you were before. I'm grateful to be on your platform. I think you're amazing. Great job in your Emmys. I plan on winning some or something of that format. But truth be told, I hope somebody watching this, I can inspire them and impact them in a positive light, whether they're in their own addiction or just need some inspiration on becoming a better version of themselves, pushing themselves in business or being a better father, whatever, because all we could do is learn from others. And, instead of judging people, we could just figure out
how we could be a better version for us. And that's what I'm trying to do.
For sure. And how can you transfer the incredible skills that you have into something that's actually impacts positively people around you?
For sure.
Which I have no doubt you'll be able to do, or you are doing already just by having these conversations.
Well, thank you.
Writing your book.
Yeah. Thank you for your support. I mean, I'm so grateful for your support.
Of course. Always.
Can I take the Emmy with me?
Not this time, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
I'll trade it for the Oscar that you said maybe you'll win one day.
Let's do it together with your husband.
Great. Yes, indeed. We're going for dinner now. So thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you so much.
And now we're going to have some margaritas. Thank you.